You're listening to GCN. Great Talk Radio starts here. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, April 26, 2013. And I am your host, Alex Jones. And this is what it sounds like when I actually have a radio microphone in front of me. Most talk show hosts get a big, fancy microphone, and they get right up on it, and then they tweak it and tune it and put all this different effects on it to make their voice sound big. I do the opposite. Why, I don't know. But there are no effects on this microphone. This is just my voice. And yes, I'm bragging right now about my voice. And I'm sorry, ladies, but I'm taken, okay? I'm just acting stupid, folks. I'm joking. I'm sorry. That's what it sounds like, because I come on, and then my voice sounds so big that I feel guilty, like I'm an egomaniac. I'm actually a liberty maniac, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not operating on a lot of sleep. Last night, I was up late here at the hotel with George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, the heads of Hunt Oil, and Joseph Curl of the Washington Times and DrudgeReport.com. And I'm not kidding. That's who I was hanging out with last night in a very, very bizarre turn of events. So here we are. I am at a hotel in Dallas, Texas, and George W. Bush is sitting on my lap. No, that part's a joke. My mother always liked this hotel. I'm not going to say what hotel because obviously we're incognito. But I'm up here in Dallas driving through visiting family because I'm from Dallas. And then I'm going to go with my children and family and parents, to another location in Texas. Why lie? Arkansas. So I'm taking a few days, just an extension of Texas, or an extension of Arkansas. And so I come in the hotel, and there's ambulances parked out front, and there's Secret Service running around. And I guess they've got like 4 presidents right now. What is it? Clinton, Obama. You've got Bush Sr., Bush Jr. So that's 4. Were there others? And so they're here for the opening of the presidential library. And then this is where some of them are staying. I know Bush lives in Dallas, but I'll tell the story later, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, of Curl and I trying to crash the private Bush-Cheney party. And I'm not joking. I actually didn't hang out with them last night, but the cops then said, the cops recognized me definitely, and were like, okay, no, you're not on the list. And then, the police officer went on to say, what's the big joke here? And I said, it's not a joke. I mean, we see the Secret Service and Dick Cheney's ambulance that follows him around. And so we want to, know, are they really here? And then later I noticed that actually, Richard, it's laying over there by that lamp, bud, and then go get yourself some lunch. Good job hooking up all this equipment. Richard Reeves on the road with us here, because even when I go on vacation for 2 or 3 days, I work. Over there is that list that I found in the bar. Yeah, bring that to me. I don't want to show the whole list because it'll say where we're at. Thank you. But here in my little hand is the list of who was at the private party last night. Karl Rove, along with Mr. Ray Hunt of Hunt Oil, will be throwing an event after the rest of the Bush Library dedication events. This has been described as our personal event and reunion for most of the people attending. Attendees are friends of former staff associated with George W. Bush administration. And again, Curl was here to cover it. He has an article up at DrudgeReport.com about Bush, the Washington Times writer. He was here to cover it, and we ran into each other in the bar. I said, no, Bush and Cheney and all of them were upstairs. He goes, well, the big party, I was invited to that. He said, but, that's at this other hotel. And I said, look, they're up there. And sure enough, they were. Just crazy. We've got all the big bullet news, the latest bombing news. It's all coming out that it was clearly a provocateur action. at least setting up real terrorists, let them attack bare minimum, and just a bunch of other news. It's all off the chart today, and we're on the road, and
With health threats on the rise, such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver, and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off, and like us on Facebook.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship, body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filters today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this Friday, April 26, 2013 worldwide broadcast. I come to you from my hometown of Dallas, Texas. Here at the same hotel where Dick Cheney and other people are staying. I happened to run into them last night. I'll tell you that story coming up later. Ran into one of the reporters for the Drudge Report as well. We tried to crash the party, and I'm not kidding. I'm actually going to tell you that story coming up. Wow, here it is. You know, they said this a week ago, but now they're in the U.S. Parents deny son's guilt and accuse U.S. of plot. No, actually, they're still in Russia saying that yesterday. Now they're coming. This is in the New York Times, and they go on to say the intelligence services had been on them for 5 years and had set them up and recruited them somehow, and that is exactly what they do in false flags. So there is the New York Times with that piece of news. We're going to be getting into that more today. Congressman Ron Paul is scheduled to join us at the start of the next hour. And then we are also going to be getting Sibel Edmonds on the broadcast. She was an FBI translator and witnessed them in the 9/11 stand down and running al-Qaeda. That's on record. She had to break a federal gag order to bring that information out to you. And people say, well, if stuff like this happened, you know, if the government was involved in terror attacks, we would know. Someone would talk. A lot of people did talk. And then they spin it and say, Chris Matthews says, Alex Jones says George W. Bush had like Wile E. Coyote, this is exact words, with a plunger detonating it. I'm not saying that George W. Bush even probably knew what was going on, because I later talked to somebody who was with him in the bunker with another one of the Bushes that night after it happened, when he was, basically scurrying around scared. I mean, not so much scared, but I mean, he was either that or he's a great actor, which I don't think George W. Bush is. But the people behind him, the globalists that control presidents, control societies, they created Al-Qaeda. They run Al-Qaeda, and they are using the threat of Al-Qaeda to basically take over our society and make everyone a suspect. There's an article up at Infowars.com where a new FBI manual flyer says anyone taking pictures, period, or video anywhere is a suspected terrorist. Put them in a terrorist database. And that's why the cops come up to you and arrest you now if you're videotaping the Eiffel Tower in Paris or if you're videotaping the Washington Monument. I've actually had the police come over. We have this on tape. Put it on the web, you've seen it, and say, what are you doing? And we're like, well, we're getting video of the Washington Monument. Why? Well, I don't have to answer your questions in America, but it's for my TV show. Do you have a permit for that? And I was actually sitting there with a C-Think film crew for the Independent Film Channel, and they looked at the cop and they go, DC doesn't give permits because you don't need a permit to be in a public place or on the street with a camera. You need a permit if you're going to block a street. And the cop said, hey, I'm going to arrest you if you don't leave. And so in America, we left. Just because we were there to get a job done and weren't there to fight for the First Amendment that day, but maybe we should have gotten arrested. Maybe we need to stop giving in every time we get pushed around. My point is, it's about making us the suspects. But the novel idea of, could it be the government, or could it be elements in the government, or could it be defense contractors that want to sell trillions of dollars of more stuff and who want to make America the war zone and get paid $10 billion per company per year to spy on our email and spy on what we're saying? This is all admitted now. Everything we talked about for so long is now admitted. And so now I'm telling you what's coming next. Now I'm telling you what's coming next. Now, again, riding shotgun with us today are Jakari Jackson and the other InfoWars Nightly News reporter, one of the other reporters, David Knight. And again, our Skype is a little bit catchy today, so I want to ask the network, every time my Skype cuts out, you go to backup Skype, will you give me a Roger Houston that I'm on the air? Okay, Roger, that's great. Because when I see my screen go black and you guys are reconnecting, what did you go to backup Skype there? Well done, Houston. They're actually in Austin, but Houston is close enough. And again, I'm here in Dallas, orbiting around Dick Cheney right now, who is somewhere in the building. I can't make up the weirdness of all this. Is it synchronicity or serendipity that I ran into Dick Cheney and George Bush here in Dallas? Or no, it'd be like, I ran into the Super Bowl. What do you know? I came to this town. The Super Bowl's happening here this weekend. No, the presidential library is being opened, and so that's why this happened. And I didn't even think of this. By the way, I was on my way yesterday, driving up here, and right off I-35 is the town of West, where that fertilizer plant blew up. So we thought, hey, let's pull over at the Czech shop, a place that has hot sandwiches. That's a Texas tradition, and about 3 blocks away is where the fertilizer plant blew up. So I said, let's drive by it. Well, we go driving by it on a city street, and the state police were even stopping firemen and stuff that were there for the funeral that had just ended, and there were helicopters flying above, because I was told Obama had been there, but he was gone. And the state police came over with such pleasure and said, what do you think you're doing here? And we said, well, we're just driving by to see what's going on. And he goes, well, you can't go that way. And I go, okay, well, where do we turn around? And he goes, well, you can't turn around. He starts smiling at us. So I jump up, because Richard was driving, and peer out of the bus. And I said, oh, so I'm an American scum. You're enjoying me, watching me squirm. Well, I shot video of it. You basically have seen it. And people are like, Alex is a real wimp. He drove all the way up to West, and then when they told him to leave, he did. No. I am a wimp, but not in the way you think I am. I'm actually pretty tough. All right, I'm being sarcastic, folks. Not a lot of sleep. I apologize. The point is that we were driving by and just thought we'd do a report for you. So it was kind of a drive-by, literal drive-by media. But it just illustrates that then his commander, his superior, comes over and goes, "Yeah, you can turn around right there." And the other guy was starting to get mad, like he was going to do something to us. Because we're totally polite. We're like, "No, we're just driving by." And he goes, "Well, why do you think you're going to do that?" "Well, we're just going to turn up there." "No, you can't do that." "Okay, where can we turn around?" "Well, you can't turn around." And then smiling at us. I mean, this is the essence of government. It's like a kid using a magnifying glass to burn ants or something, or pull the wings off a butterfly. As Bradley Manning said about what the U.S. military does overseas. I mean, someday it'll be like total Skynet robots bombing and destroying and killing everybody in third world countries. I guess it's already happening. And then occasionally there'll be a bomb go off and they'll hype it up like the nation just defeated some incredible threat. So we have the perception that there was some type of, external thing going on and that we're not really the big empire taking over the world. And my biggest issue with the empire is not only is it immoral, but this giant mega empire that we're seeing unfold here, this giant mega empire, we're paying for it, and it's treating us just like it treats the other people that it's enslaving and destroying. This is not even an American empire. This is not an empire spreading liberty and freedom and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution like the CIA says. We overthrow countries to spread democracy. No, you put dictators and Al-Qaeda in, and now you run Al-Qaeda publicly in Libya and Syria and all over the place, and then lecture me how I'm un-American to point out the global crime syndicate, illegal mafia is sitting here now declaring that I'm the enemy as well. I mean, it's asinine. Meanwhile, Big Sis says Homeland is using 1,000 more rounds per person than the Army. But she denies the ammunition purchases are aimed at civilians, even though this military government, and that's what it is training to fight the American people in all their manuals and all their drills. You have enough ammo now to fight a 35-year war. It was a 27-year war in Iraq. It's now a 35-year war. They've gotten over 1 billion delivered. There's over 1 billion more that are on back order that they're going to get over the next few years. And then they have these headlines everywhere. Alex Jones discredited. Alex Jones gets his day in Congress. Congress takes up the conspiracy theory. Drudge Report takes up the conspiracy theory, the debunk theory about bullets. And then you read about the bullets, and they say, yes, we've bought 2+ billion bullets, and it's discredited that you said we did. I mean, I'm actually reading mainstream news going, the discredited bullet story, they're now having congressional hearings. Let's cut to that clip. And then she says, well, we've bought them to save money, but it's not aimed at the American people. And, the hollow points are illegal under the Geneva Convention. They are for target practice when anyone knows you don't use hollow points that sometimes cost 3 to 4 to 5 times. They always cost more, usually about double for the cheaper brands, than the ball target ammo. Any shooter knows that. And it's all the training and the Army manuals and the drills to acclimate us and what we just saw in Boston. And then she's saying, but it's not for you. It's not for you. And then you get the manuals. It's for conservatives, libertarians, returning veterans, gun owners, Ron Paul supporters, you name it. Now, again, riding shotgun today, and they'll be popping in with news reports and the latest breaking information, R. Jakari Jackson and David Knight. And we're going to be getting into all of this information today. Ron Paul is coming up and a lot more. We're going to break here in just about a minute and a half, but I want to throw it to the reporters there to take us out to break. Then I'll come back and get into the bullet story. Then we're going to get into, and I'm going to get their take on this, the latest on the Boston bombing, where I should be tooting our horn here. I should be recapping it, but as listeners, you should be tooting your horn, not buying into it day one. But it's actually kind of sad and sick that we're right again. It's actually kind of sad and disgusting that it turned out to be a staged event. I mean, any way you cut it, any way you slice it, any way you dice it, these guys had CIA wiring up their snouts. I mean, they were absolute cutouts with the government obsessed with them for years, like white on rice. And now it's just all out there in front of everyone. Everything the parents said is now coming out. We'll be right back with Jakari Jackson, David Knight. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Stay with us.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out Simply Safe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but Simply Safe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimplySafe.com.
HempUSA.org has a revolutionary wonder food for detoxing the body and rebuilding the immune system. Microplant powder can help unclog arteries and soften heart valves while removing heavy metals, virus, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Plus, it cleans and purifies the blood, lungs, stomach, and colon. Keep your body clean with Microplant powder. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit HempUSA.org.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Is this the year you finally get serious about your family's drinking water? If so, keep listening for a special offer from Big Berkey Water Filters. Did you know that over 60% of municipal water is fluoridated? Berkey Water Filters distinguish themselves from many other filtration systems with the capability to significantly reduce dangerous chlorine, fluoride, arsenic, and disinfection byproducts from municipal water via the Black Berkey and PF line of filters. Then there's affordability. At only 1.7 cents per gallon, Berkey Water Filters purify treated and untreated water, even stagnant pond water. Stop and think how much money you could save by simply reducing buying bottled water and using water filtered by your Berkey water filter. No need to be constantly replacing expensive filters with a Berkey. A single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. Choose the best size Berkey for your needs at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And right now, all GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Just call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY or visit BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. Free shipping on every order over $50. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Big business has discovered the preparedness market, and that makes it difficult to know where to go and who to trust. MyPatriotSupply.com is owned and operated by patriots just like you, has the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more. MyPatriotSupply.com has old-fashioned values and the absolute best customer service in the industry. Look for the deal of the day, unique, affordable survival supplies that fit anyone's budget. Get same-day shipping on all orders and free shipping on orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927, 866-229-0927, or visit MyPatriotSupply.com for emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and food independence. Shop with a name you know and a name you can trust. Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are broadcasting worldwide from high atop the Dick Cheney Command Complex in Dallas, Texas. I am actually broadcasting from high atop Dick Cheney's hotel with a train of ambulances behind him. You know, when he shot that guy in the face out at that ranch in Texas, they reported they had 3 ambulances there. And when you go to a Bilderberg Group meeting, sometimes they have like 7 or 8 ambulances for David Rockefeller and all the rest of them sitting out there. And I don't know why I'm going off into that. Sometime today, after Ron Paul comes on and we talk to Sibel Edmonds, people keep saying, why do you say Sibel? She says, that's how you pronounce it. Not Sibel, she says Sibel. And I respect how she wants it pronunciated. So Sibel Edmonds is going to be joining us. Incredible whistleblower coming up at the bottom of the next hour. And it's weird. You know, when I go on vacation, I just kind of get in screwy moods. That's why I'm joking around a lot. But literally, I am in the same building as Dick Cheney right now. And it's just like, just a little man creeping around on a cane. But just think of all the New World Order stuff he's been involved in. Just amazing how fragile life is, how short it is. People take themselves so incredibly seriously. And then you've got the video up on Infowars.com that John Bound and Mark Dice and Rob Jacobson went and produced. And I want to be clear. They did that shoot in 15 minutes in Oceanside, California by L.A., and that is all the people they talked to. Okay, we did not go out there for 5 hours to find people that would sign a petition calling for America to be turned over to Nazi Germany and gun owners to be arrested and children to be injected with pure mercury. We went to English-speaking people and explained it to them, and they signed it. Because if you talk in a liberal voice, a snake voice, they're under a trance. We're going to go out with a snake voice in Austin, and we're going to call for babies to be killed in America up to age 3. We're going to call for a law, so it's legal, for babies. And Dice is doing another one. Well, he's already done it. He's going to have next week that's so controversial, he doesn't know if he should even air it. I mean, what he asked them, and they all agreed. It was time to burn people, murder people, bury people. I just can't even believe it. I don't want to give away what he did. And again, we're going to be doing this as well to illustrate how the public is in a zombified state. And I got to say it, it's liberals that are like this. Even mainline Republicans that have got their problems and want to kill all the Muslims and have their issues, they have common sense and street smarts. I don't know, I mean, compared to Democrats. Democrats are scary, and they always walk around talking about how smart they are all day. That's another thing they do. And they're not smart. They're dangerous, and they're crazy. And I said we'd go to our guest host here who were there riding shotgun with us today. They're going to be popping in with news alerts and little tidbits of information throughout the day. But you know me, in the first 30 minutes or so, I just get warmed up babbling, Texas style, hillbilly style. David Knight, Jakari Jackson, what are you going to be interspersing today? Because you're going to be hosting the third hour all by your lonesomes today.
Oh, all by our lonesomes. Okay. Well, I'm Jakari Jackson here with David Knight, just like Alex said. We have a few articles that we'll be conducting a little bit later. FBI conducts gun sweeps in Oakland. DHS and FBI warn of terrorists with cameras following Boston bombing. Now, this is exactly what we said would happen. And you have the Maddow's and other people of the world saying, this is, they said this is going to be used to take your rights or something. And that's exactly what it is. And
I'm sick of that dude saying that we're wrong, and that I'm sick of him. As a man, he needs to gut up and admit we've been telling the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
David, what do you have?
Well, there's news that the U.S. Mint is suspending sales of small gold coins. At the same time, premiums are rising. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have Ron Paul on later. So it'll be interesting to see. I know he follows gold pretty closely, what he makes out of all the shortages of gold and silver. And, of course, we know what's happening with ammo, and there's an article about that on InfoWars today.
And the thing about that, I think Bloomberg was on, Ron Paul was on Bloomberg a couple days ago, and they kept asking Ron Paul, why do you like gold? And he'd tell them why he likes gold. And why do you like gold? And then they switched anchors and just kept asking him the same question over and over. And I think we actually have.
Yeah, I don't get why they do that. I was on Opie and Anthony's show. I think they do it. And like 8 times, Norton kept asking me the same question. And I don't even know what that tactic is.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess they were trying to see if he would change his answer. And he always had, like always, he always had a well thought out, thought-provoking answer. But they just weren't satisfied with his answer.
You know, Alex, you were talking about how dumbed down everything is in the wake of this bombing, the analysis of it. And there was an article that was on Lou Rockwell's page from Butler Schaefer. And he said, perhaps we ought to change the motto of the U.S. from "In God We Trust" to "Ignorance is Bliss." He said the failure in intelligence wasn't the fact that the FBI and the CIA and Homeland Security and all these other agencies had indicators that something was up with one of these brothers. Failure in intelligence is the American people abdicating their ability to look at information.
I disagree with that. I think we should worship the image of not a golden calf, but of an ostrich with its head in the sand, or its head in the toilet with a dead baby.
Yeah, we could replace the eagle with an ostrich and the motto with the
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
If you want an American company with American products made by Americans, here is the Cal Ben Soap Company. Alex and his staff have used these pure soap products for years. These all-natural soaps are made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils that are earth-friendly and safe. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog. Buy the 1 to 2 month sample package and enjoy soaps that are twice as good as what you're using now. Or save big with a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. This is an amazing deal. You can save thousands of dollars and you will love the way real soap makes you feel. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out Simply Safe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but Simply Safe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimplySafe.com.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Folks, I'm coming to you from Dallas, Texas. Let me seriously get into some of the news here, and then we're going to have Jakari Jackson and David Knight there in Austin, Texas, break down some other important breaking news they have, like Planned Parenthood running around saying, hey, women, wear shirts saying I had an abortion. Absolutely. I sacrificed my child. I killed my child. I'm proud of it because, you see, they're losing the battle. Statistics and studies are showing people are turning against abortion. I'm not judging women that have had them. I'm not saying that you're a murderer. I'm saying you were manipulated into this, and now they're trying to make it something that's like laudable, like getting a gold medal or something. And in every culture, people have been lauded for killing their children. That's just something that's happened over and over and over again throughout civilization and in different cultures. So what I want to do actually right now is throw it over to Jakari Jackson and David Knight What I want to cover first is, gentlemen, the latest developments that we were first talking about back last Monday during the tragic first hours of the bombing. We said if there's a drill, if the patsies were in intelligence services or protected by them, if they use it for some big power grab like martial law, to basically condition us, if that happens, if we see all of these different telltale signs, then we know it's an inside job, or at least a provocateur event, which is a type of inside job. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, that is what has now happened. And if you look at the New York Times, parents deny son's guilt and accuse U.S. of plot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's just the simple facts. That one brother was killed, the other climbed out of a boat and was just fine, and then suddenly had his throat cut out. And now what the senator first said back on Tuesday is now mainstream news. That all these agencies, CIA, FBI, you name it, all knew exactly who these guys were and were, quote, following them, tracking them. The Russians blew their cover and said, who are these guys? And then it came out 2 days ago and has been in no mainstream media except foreign Russian news. They released the documents out of Georgia that indeed Tamerlan, Zarnav, the older brother, indeed was in CIA-sponsored Jamestown Association groups under Zbigniew Brzezinski, whose plan it is to radicalize Muslims and use them worldwide as the tool to take liberties here in America, in the Middle East, and against Russia. And again, people say, what are you saying, there aren't radical Muslims? My whole world's about hating Muslims, and my dog's got an Al-Qaeda chew toy. No. I'm not saying there aren't radical Muslims and there isn't a clash of civilizations. What I'm saying is the globalists are throwing fuel on the fire as a way to take our liberties and have an excuse for all these wars and empires. And they use them like a Swiss Army knife or a skeleton key for every job. Going back this goes back to the British using radical Muslims out of Saudi Arabia to overthrow the different countries that were there before, turned it into one big country, and now they've used those guys worldwide. Hitler took over the Middle East for oil during the start of World War II when Rommel went in, and for the few years he had it before he got kicked out, what did they do? They set up and expanded the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, at the end of World War II, the keys got handed from Hitler over to the United States, and then Israel was set up basically as a command base over there, whether you support Israel or don't, or whether you just want peace over there. The point is it was set up as like an aircraft carrier, out there in the Middle East to basically be a base of military operations. And again, this wasn't done to democratize or bring freedom over there. It was done to put radical Muslims in charge. Look what we did kicking out Mubarak, who wasn't a great guy, a Western-backed dictator, but he was a dictator, back when the U.S. wasn't as openly evil. We had corrupt people in there, but they weren't just absolutely pure evil. Now he's gone after 31 years, and they're putting basically Al-Qaeda light in. So that's my take on that. But this is a case of this has absolutely come out in the open, and I want you guys to spend about 5 minutes breaking that down, and I want the guys to bring me down while you're doing that because I want to readjust my camera. It actually fell off the computer here, so I have to
All right, we're here, I think. Picking up on what Alex was talking about, here's some of the agencies, according to the official story, that knew about this attack. You had the FBI, the CIA, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Boston Joint Terror Task Force, TIDE, that's the Terrorist Identities Data Mart environment, and Homeland Security itself. All of these people had red flags raised to them about Tamerlan, the older brother. And yet they didn't catch anything. Now,
Napolitano said that she knew about it, but she didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah. Janet, you failed us. Right? Homeland Security failed us. If you even look, if you don't look at anything else but the official story, you have to say that Homeland Security, which was created 12 years ago in the aftermath of 9/11, the whole rationale for the creation of Homeland Security was that we've got all these bureaucracies that aren't sharing information with each other, that aren't communicating with each other, so we need one gigantic bureaucracy to rule them all. Okay, and that's what we've got with Homeland Security. And guess what? They're offering the same excuse they did 12 years ago. So why did we spend all this money on Homeland Security? Why did we centralize all this investigation? I mean, at that very level, their story has no credibility, and we should not be handing over any liberty to them at all. And we should take back the liberties that they took, because it wasn't a very good exchange for us.
And that's exactly the point, because not just terrorism databases, but all kinds of databases. You have the NSA data mining centers and all this stuff. And even with all the information they illegally collect on U.S. citizens, they still can't, keep people from committing crimes. I'm not necessarily referring to the Boston bombing suspects, but just in general, they can't keep people from committing the crimes with all the resources that they have.
Well, even if you look at the war on drugs, you have scores of people dying from drug overdoses in federal prisons every year.
Exactly.
If they can't stop the flow of drugs in prisons to the extent that inmates can not only get drugs, but get enough of them to have an overdose, what kind of a society would we have to live in for them to be able to interdict drugs to protect us from ourselves? So the whole idea of using force and interdiction to stop everything is a failed idea. But it's just, when you look at even the no-fly list and the absurdity of that, the fact that this Tides thing flagged Tamerlan when he was heading back to Russia, and they decided to let him fly anyway. And yet you have children who are put on the no-fly list. You have Wade Hicks, who had just been vetted by Homeland Security, had been vetted by the FBI for enhanced security checks, and was stopped mid-journey to Japan to see his wife in the military, and stranded in Hawaii because he couldn't fly anywhere. Never was given any explanation. So this kind of authoritarian bureaucracy that doesn't pay any attention to the law and just rides roughshod over people is accountable to no one, and will not tell anybody. To this day, people who are put on the no-fly list are not ever told if they're ever taken off of it. They're never told why they were even put on it. It's like some kind of a star chamber where you're accused in absentia, but at least the star chamber would tell people what they were accused of. We don't even get that from Homeland Security.
And you brought up a good point. You said that they're not accountable to anybody. And we saw that with Napolitano when she was being grilled by, I believe, the congressman. And he said, what's up with this Saudi guy? And she said, well, if I think it's a big deal, I'll get around to telling you it's a big deal.
Yeah, sit down, Congressman, don't talk to me. And that's kind of the attitude that you're getting about these ammunition purchases as well, right? When they say, why are you getting 1,000 times, why are you using, if you divide it out by the number of people there, why are you using 1,000 times more rounds than the Army's using? Well, I can't tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that.
And I think that's a very good point to bring up. I mean, when you're using more rounds domestically than you need in a foreign occupation, I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody wants to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the fully automatic AR-15s. They don't want to talk about the armored vehicles. And, everybody, well, not everybody, but you see some of the naysayers saying, well, they bought dump trucks too. And okay, yeah, they bought dump trucks. They also have armored vehicles that they say can withstand landmines. They said they need those for warrant sweeps. I know a lot of the Crips and the Bloods like to use landmines in their daily activities and whatnot. That makes absolutely no sense. But I want to get to this, David. We have a link on Drudge. Maybe you guys can pull it up. Update. Falsely identified Boston bomber found dead in the river. Now, I believe Alex has been talking about this for some time, saying that, bodies are going to pop up in the river. And sure enough, they did. Falsely identified Boston bomber found dead in river. One of the individuals identified as a possible Boston bombing accomplice has been found dead in the Providence River. Police in Providence pulled a man's body from the Providence River on Tuesday, and authorities said it's very possible that it is, forgive me for this pronunciation, Sunli Tripathi, a former Brown University student who has been missing since mid-March. It was pointed out that the image bore a similarity to one of the suspects first named by the FBI. And I remember we had the caller call in the other day, and he said, maybe we should do some crowdsourcing. And I don't think crowdsourcing is necessarily a bad thing, but when you get to the point where you're harassing people, in the very scenario I gave that caller was, they're going to start harassing little girls with backpacks. That little girl had a black backpack, and it gets way out of hand. But I think it can be a very useful thing, just something to use with extreme caution.
Well, we have an article on InfoWars from Kurt Nimmo, and he says the DHS and FBI are warning of terrorists with cameras following the Boston bombing. Now, we just had Peter King, former chair of the House Committee on Homeland Security, saying that, well, you know, we could have stopped this or found these guys quicker if we had more cameras. Well, they had a lot of cameras at the finish line.
And they confiscated cameras from people who were there just filming.
Right. What they don't want a free press. They don't want a free citizenry. They don't want people taking pictures of their crime scenes because they want to control what information comes out and what information doesn't. And along that line, we look at this, the implausibility of these two brothers, the second one with the white backpack. Now, immediately it was obvious because for days they've been talking about a black backpack. And then when they flagged these guys, they didn't say anything initially about the second guy having a white backpack.
Right.
And so we started talking about it. And then immediately CNN comes on with an explanation, says, well, this is what it would have been.
I think it was less than an hour after that press conference.
Right.
CNN came up with their own probable cause situation for why the backpack was white and not the black backpack. This was nothing that they got from the FBI that we know of. It's just something they came up on their own. Yeah, they just pulled bags out of bags.
They did have an FBI, former FBI profiler, as they introduced him.
An FBI profiler. I want to tell this story. I've told it to David and I told it to the guys in the back. Back when I was in college, I wouldn't say I was recruited by the FBI, but the FBI approached me at a career fair, you know, because I was studying criminal justice and said, hey, you know, when you get your degrees, you come check out the FBI. And, you know, I just asked him a basic question, you know, what about all that FBI profiling I see on the movies? He said, there is no position in the FBI called FBI profiler. None.
And you can verify that at the FBI's website. We went there and looked at FBI, it's the careers section. And if you look at item number 17, because they must get this request a lot, it says, I'd like to be an FBI profiler. And they say there is no such job as an FBI profiler. But they had an FBI profiler, according to CNN.
Yeah, he is an FBI profiler. If you guys can dig that up, that would be really great, even if we have to wait till the next segment.
So he came on and he was ready with a demonstration. Now, here's the question, okay? I think that's somewhat implausible, but he's saying that, you know, he had the black backpack with a bomb inside it, inside of a white backpack. He would take that out and then leave it down there and then put the white backpack on and go, okay? Well, if he was so clever to do that, why didn't the older brother, who was a mastermind, why didn't he do the same thing? Okay, why didn't he have a white backpack with a black backpack bomb inside of it? I mean, it makes no sense. And we're told that they don't have any video of the older brother setting anything down, but we do have, they say, video of the younger brother setting something down.
Who nobody has seen.
Exactly. They will not show you the video. Now think about this. No person identified by the name in the investigation is saying that they saw the videos, okay? The governor of Massachusetts said that he went to a briefing and they described the video to him. But they didn't show the governor of Massachusetts.
Oh, my gosh, they described it.
Yeah, they described it. So
that's some damning evidence right there. They described a video that nobody has seen.
But that's the whole point of the suspicion about the younger brother, Zohar, is this video where he supposedly took this backpack out of the other one and left it and ran. It's crazy.
Also, guys, again, Alex Jones popping back in here, guys, great points you're making. Is you have the police chief, you know, the big guy that everybody sees at the press conferences. He said on Fox that he had the whole video of this described to him. First, he said it is just chilling and riveting video. And they said, oh, you've seen it? Well, no. I had it described to me. But listen, all that is side issues. I think it's important to list it all as part of the overall continuum of this. But you have to understand, you've got a drill at the exact same time. You've got them desperate to cover up that drill. You've got all these other people with backpacks there, which, again, are part of the drill. We're not saying they're in on it. They're there so that no one can ever find the real guy with the bomb, so the real guy can slip in. How do you, in a country, in a world where they know there's going to be thousands of cameras, they want the thousands of cameras to create all this fear to usher in a fundamental change in our society towards open martial law? They'll just call it security. They'll call it public safety. How do you have that fundamental shift? Well, you've got to have the footage, but how do you then bomb something and then get your backpack bombs in, or whatever they were really in, and then have the real perpetrator be able to slip out? It's the old spy trick of have 20 people show up at the same restaurant dressed the same way so that people can't find out who's handing off a package. This is all classic spy stuff out of real spycraft. To have the drill in case you get caught, to say you're part of the drill. And then I say, okay, there's a drill. That just bumped it up to 90% chance. I said this, the day it happened. Okay, a drill's confirmed. People are saying drills. Okay, the Boston Globe admitted that there was a drill. They had a drill years before there of the same thing happening. Okay, that just bumped it up to 90% because, if you have a drill at the exact same place, exact same time of a bombing, that's what it was for. Unbelievable, you're at 90%. Now, if it comes out they're being shadowed by the FBI and CIA, Kurt Nemo wrote, if they were sent by these foundations that are trying to undermine Russia by sending in Muslim extremists, and we listed the organizations, then it goes to 99%. And folks, it's gone to 99%, and then you get them covering up, trying to kill the brothers, silencing the other brother, dead bodies popping up, the cover-up of this Saudi that somehow is involved. I don't know if it was a patsy or maybe the target. I mean, we don't know, but we know this guy is at the White House. We know Michelle is visiting him, the First Lady. We know this guy is on no-fly list because, again, you've got agencies that aren't actually terrorists that will pick up on these people and put them on a list, or they've done this, they put them on a list so when something gets blown up or if they want to set them up later, they say, oh, look, we were watching them. That's then uses the proof against them as well. And the fact that they're allowed to get on and off planes, Tamerlan is the older brother, with fake names. Boom, ladies and gentlemen, we know the workshops he attended with the CIA. We know what he did. We know he went around to mosque to jump up and say, I want to kill infidels, to test and see if there were real radicals in those mosques. But see, when you get hired, because they were secular at first, party guys, wanting to get money, be Playboy type guys, they were rock stars. They're out partying. They're not real Muslims. The point is, when you go out and take part in the drills, or when you take part as an infiltrator, posing as a Muslim extremist, you are now creating the history and the ledger to be set up. That's what happened with Tim McVeigh, Lee Harvey Oswald, and everybody else. This is a total intelligence operation. It is a false flag. And when we come back, I'll tell you the motive for it. Then we'll get into the latest on the bullets. The media is in full panic mode trying to cover this up. They are preparing for war against the American people, folks. And if this story gets out, it's over for them.
We travel so much, and having a fake TV, well, it gives added peace of mind.
Burglars look for houses that appear to be easy targets, but fake TV can fool even professional burglars into thinking someone is home watching television.
As a recent widow living alone, it gives me great peace of mind to set my fake TV near a window and know that passing motorists and pedestrians will think someone is home watching TV when I'm actually away from home.
Fake TV easily plugs into any outlet, just like a light on a timer.
And they're so easy to use. You just plug them in and they're ready to go. Plus, they're so affordable that we have one upstairs and downstairs.
Fake TV is only $29.95 with free shipping. Order your fake TV by calling 877-5-FAKE-TV or go to faketv.com. That's 877-532-5388 or faketv.com. Fake TV, the burglar deterrent.
Gardeners, here comes another growing season, but don't use last year's soil. Maximize yields in your survival garden with EM1 from TerraGanix. EM1 is an organic soil conditioner, fertilizer amendment, and compost accelerant that provides a broad spectrum of beneficial microorganisms, enzymes, trace minerals, vitamins, and various organic acids. EM1 helps regulate the soil's pH level and its soil microbes, improving moisture retention and drought tolerance. Remember last year's dry conditions? EM1 from TerraGanix is safe, chemical-free, and certified for use on all organic farms. It improves plant quality, size, color, flavor, and gives up to 20% more nutrient value in fruits and vegetables, and greatly increases shelf life. And EM1 is so simple to use, just mix with water and apply. This year, prepare your crisis garden for maximum yields with EM1 from TerraGanix.com. Order now at TerraGanix.com or call toll-free 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. TerraGanix. Life's getting better.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct. Joining us for 30 minutes at the start of the next hour, so be sure and stay with us on that. We're going to ask him about a whole bunch of issues coming up, from the Boston bombing to his new homeschooling curriculum to where he thinks the New World Order is going and what's happening with gold. That is all coming up with former Congressman Dr. Ron Paul. And then we have Sibel Edmonds, the whistleblower, coming on. Look, you all know the motives. Set the precedent, as they said. This is like 9/11. You even see the PR rollout. We're now going to be on the streets. You're now all suspects. And what do you say to that, having the Bill of Rights suspended? USA, USA, USA. Cheering tyranny with the chance of USA, USA, USA. So the motive is let the military-industrial complex eat America fully, this foreign offshore bank-owned monstrosity that is installing al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria so we can fight the next war with them. See, it's full-spectrum dominance. And it's a way to make us all suspects and then get CISPA passed and just absolutely butcher the Bill of Rights and Constitution and distract from Obama imploding America and shutting down our power plants and shipping our jobs overseas. So it's all meant to make us rally around and see the government as the daddy, as the mommy. As Chris Rock said, you know, Obama's like your dad, so shut up and do what he says. You know, Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un, he's like our dad, so shut up and do what he says. You know, Hitler, he's like our dad, shut up and do what he says. I mean, that's what every group that loves authoritarianism says. And you watch that video up at Infowars.com that has to go viral everywhere. Californians signed petition to bring in Nazi rule. And they would say, yeah, please sign the petition to confiscate the guns and bring in Nazi fascism in America. And these are people that spoke English, black, Hispanic, you name it, white, mainly whites and Hispanics, and that's the people. That's everyone that we asked. It's not like we're cherry picking here. They were out there 15 minutes. It's like a 7-minute video because they just, you know, cut out the parts where they were waiting for somebody to walk up on the boardwalk. Everyone we talked to, except for one group of people, so that's like 90%, said we want to take the guns and live under Nazi rule because they don't know even what Nazis are. It's like, it's for the earth, the children. The Nazis will run everything and take the guns. Oh, I'm for that. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the Nazis, ma'am. And we're going to get more and more extreme, more and more insane with the stuff we're going to call for, and people are going to sign for it. Now, shifting gears, we're going to cover this more after Ron Paul leaves. This is a big deal. The listeners of this broadcast, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, and give credit where credit's due, DrudgeReport.com. Rammed this story, just like the TSA and so many other issues, into light. When we first started reporting on it a year ago, it was only 1 billion bullets. Since then, it's about a year-and-a-half period now, it's over 2,200,000,000 bullets. And it's training with paper targets of children. That's people couldn't even believe that. It's on record. This is all designed for us. This whole program. And the fact that they, in every news article bashing us and saying InfoWars is lying, Drudge is lying, these crazy congressmen have picked up what Drudge and Jones are doing. And I mean, she got asked about it last week. She got asked again today. Hey, what about the 2 billion bullets? She goes, well, Drudge is not a credible source. And he's like, but Drudge linked to Forbes. I mean, isn't that credible? Of course, it's all credible. Because it's the government's purchase orders, their own website. And then they say in all the articles, oh, the debunked Drudge story. Yeah, these people are nuts. Yeah, we bought 2 billion bullets. It's no big deal. It's like we're debunked because we broke it, pushed it, and they're like, man, look at these crazy people. You know, they said there was a rodeo going on in this town, and we showed up and there was a rodeo. They're debunked. Or look at this crazy guy. You know, he says he's in Dallas, Texas, and there he is in Dallas, Texas. This is nuts. This guy is, this guy, 2 + 2 = 4. He's crazy because he's right. I mean, it's debunked because we got the bullets and they're for you.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
Now that we have moved into the winter season, there is an increased need to support our immunity and health. At Silver Lungs, we are committed to meeting your needs by providing a full selection of silver-based products. Our most popular silver-based products are the 32-ounce Nano Silver Solutions, our 2-ounce Nano Silver Nasal Applicators, as well as our all-natural silver soaps. Just released is our 100% natural silver gel. Our new silver gel is not based on synthetic gelling agents, which quickly evaporate and leave the silver at the surface. But rather, we have formulated our silver gel using the natural skin-nourishing chemistry of aloe vera to quickly penetrate and nourish the skin, while delivering the silver more effectively. Visit www.silverlungs.com and click on our store page to find what silver-based products are best for you. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. I'm in Big D on a short family get-together. Just so happen to be in the same building as Dick Cheney right now. I'll tell that story briefly later. I pretty much already told it. Dick Cheney and more. Hunt Oil, you name it. George W. Bush. I got 5 presidents here in town right now. Speaking of somebody I wish was our president, Ron Paul is scheduled to be calling in any minute now to spend a half hour with us today, and I'm going to bring up a cornucopia of issues. And, you know, I have the guys come in and co-host even when I'm there because I enjoy their ideas and banter, and it's thought-provoking. But Jakari Jackson and David Knight are riding shotgun up there also in case we have any technical difficulties, because we are coming to you via the Internet right now. The wonders of the Internet. And we do have Congressman Ron Paul joining us today. Again, I'm on the road, so I have a couple of my InfoWars Nightly News reporters riding shotgun with us for the next 30 minutes. In case anything cuts out, they'll be able to ask the congressman, former congressman, questions. It's great to have you on with us today, sir.
Thank you, Alex. Good to be with you.
Wow, so much is happening. I want to get into your homeschooling curriculum. I hope to actually promote it later when you start that affiliate program. I think everybody should get involved in that. But before we go there, what do you make of Boston and that whole martial law spectacle that we saw?
Well, it's rather scary. You know me that I always try to look on the positive things and think things can't be quite as bad. But those pictures really concern me. You know, I mean, that is such a visual image when you see these thousands and thousands of troops, and they weren't your local friendly policemen that were involved. And it was accepted too easily. I mean, can you imagine all these people being locked? They became prisoners. And then the police, the military police, were allowed to march into any house anytime without a search warrant. It was martial law, you know. So I think it was very, very scary. Let's just hope it wakes up some people. But unfortunately, you still hear those, well, the government has to do something to make us safe. And I think that's where the big disconnect is what is the purpose of government? Is it to give us perfect safety and perfect economic security, or is it there to allow us to run our own lives and protect our liberties?
I want to expand on that because we're going to break here in a moment. This is our short segment. Again, former Congressman and Dr. Ron Paul joins us, very active in the defense of liberty. I want to expand again in the next segment on the Boston issue, because some stations join us, then I want to get your full take on that. But I mean, clearly, any excuse the power structure has to grab power, they do it, and it seems that appetite is getting more and more intense. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, the problems are getting bigger. They say that Congress isn't doing a job because they're broke, but it's the whole system that's broke. We're financially broke. But those individuals in Washington, their mentality is different than so many of people outside of Washington, because they've told me personally that they need to take care of people and they need to regulate people's lives, because we can't trust it to themselves, because they may hurt themselves or they may not take care of themselves. And I've asked them, I said, why is that the case? Well, they're too stupid, and inferring we, the politicians, know what is best. I mean, that is a mental status that they have and they cling to, and then they don't do like, I'm Hitler and I'm going to take over, I'm going to take away liberties. I'm doing the Lord's work. I care about people. You've heard the liberals say that they care about people. We don't. But, of course, if you really care about people, you'll protect liberty, and there'll be more production and more people taken care of, instead of special interests taking over control of our government and the wrong people benefiting. But anyway, that's the mess that we have. It's continuing. So every time there's an opportunity, they think, well, if I enhance my power, I can do more good for the world. Although there's sinister reasons for us to be going about around the world, most of the people are complacent, and they just go along to get along, and they think, well, we got to go help those people. We got to get rid of that.
Absolutely. Congressman, Ron Paul's our guest. I want to expand and flesh that out when we come back, because that is so central. Please stay with us. Ron Paul joins us. In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
With health threats on the rise, such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver, and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off, and like us on Facebook.
If you want an American company with American products made by Americans, here is the Cal Ben Soap Company. Alex and his staff have used these pure soap products for years. These all-natural soaps are made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils that are earth-friendly and safe. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog. Buy the 1 to 2 month sample package and enjoy soaps that are twice as good as what you're using now. Or save big with a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. This is an amazing deal. You can save thousands of dollars and you will love the way real soap makes you feel. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, I'm coming to you on the road up here in Dallas, Texas, visiting family, and Congressman Ron Paul joins us as well from Texas via the phone, and we have our reporters riding shotgun with us, and the former congressman is just popping in with a news and analysis update here with us today, and he's going to talk some about the homeschooling curriculum he's got coming out in September that is truly a revolutionary idea that I'm fully behind. But first off, sir, seeing the images of lockdown, saying it's a prison, overriding the Bill of Rights, that is martial law by definition, and now they're saying this is the new way in America, and we've got to have drones now, domestically, and that basically America's a battlefield. We've known this was coming along with the economic collapse that is centralization. What can you say about what Americans can do to reverse this, and your take on what you saw in Boston, former Congressman Ron Paul?
Well, I think what Boston has told me is a bigger issue and more difficult to reverse than I might have hoped. I'm always hopeful. I always want to be positive. I get a lot of people who understand and should do it. But to overcome the power of the Department of Homeland Security, I mean, it looks like they're going to have all the guns. At least they want to have all the guns. They're buying up all the ammunition, but of course they said they would never use it against American citizens. What in thunder are they doing? Then when you witness what went on in Boston, I mean, if this is not martial law, I don't know what martial law is going to look like. But the Constitution has been trampled. The American people have to stand up any way they know how to do it, by spreading messages, reading, studying, getting involved in politics. Ultimately, though, it's education. People have to understand why liberty provides the answers for us. But we have been conditioned probably for 30 or 40 years, and you hear it all the time from the president. Their job is to make us safe. One, the liberals say, we want to make you economically safe and secure, and nobody falls through the cracks, and we're going to take care of everybody. But then others say we want to make you physically safe, and governments aren't supposed to do that. Governments are supposed to protect our liberties. Once they decide they're going to make us safe, economically and physically safe, they can only do this by taking away our liberties, and that's where we are. We seek safety rather than liberty, and we were warned about it, and I think we need to re-warn the American people, and they have to know what the goals are in order to establish their priorities.
Again, Dr. Ron Paul joins us. You talk about the bullets. You know, we broke that story. Drudge Report forced it into the mainstream media, and they said we're not buying bullets. And then they said, okay, we bought $1 billion. Now it's $2 billion. And then they come out and say, it's a hoax that we're buying bullets, but we did buy bullets. So their lies, their denials have gotten like schizophrenic, where you're reading a headline and they testify, this is a hoax, but we did buy the bullets. And now she said before Congress today, Big Sis, that DHS denies ammo purchases aimed at civilians when the targets are of women and children on record, and the Army manuals say they're training to take on domestic groups. That first document we got 4 years ago said Ron Paul, veterans, gun owners, libertarians, conservatives, Aaron Russo, film owners. I mean, just bizarre. And now all that is mainlined. So what do you say about the intensified lying, or do you disagree, or are they not intensifying their lies?
Well, you know, they have the major medias on their side, so they paint us as paranoid. And this is our job, whether it's talk shows like yours or our internet programs or whatever we're doing. We have to reverse this whole idea that we are, you know, paranoid and just imagining these things. When she gives us an inch and says, "Oh yeah, we did purchase them," they have to pound her and figure out, what are you going to do with them? What is the intent? How much money? You'd think Congress should have more of a backbone to stand up and demand this. That's their responsibility. But Congress goes along with it. They give up their prerogatives to the executive branch so easily. And if we don't do it, see, the people eventually have to do it. Members of Congress go along to get along. They've been doing that for years, so we only have a dozen or two up there that are trying. But what we need to do is wake up more and more people to hound their congressmen to say, find out why and what are they up to, because it's only information that that they have that can wake the people up. If they don't get the information, they're going to be too complacent, and then it'll be too late. After Boston, I worry more on where we are. But then again, when I go to the college campuses, I get good responses. A lot of young people are saying, you know, we know what you're talking about, and we don't like it, and we're going to be stuck with a big bill, and we don't have a job. So there's a receptive ear out there. So it's a battle. It's a battle for the hearts and minds of people to decide which they think is correct. Are they going to go along with the status quo and, the Federal Reserve and the income tax system and government taking care of us and make us safe and secure? Or are we going to say it's time we defended our position that we want our freedoms back and just get the government out of the way?
Well, as you said earlier, government claims that it's here to help us, but everywhere government gets involved, it creates dependency and just wrecks society. We've sent our reporters out in Austin, but also in California, not just in Texas, and the most people sign petitions to confiscate all the guns, to not just ban carbon dioxide, but dihydrogen monoxide or water. And it seems like you've got two things happening. Either people are getting more awake, or they're getting even more dumbed down, and they're saying, hey, we're a democracy, a 51% vote to make the other 49 slaves, we're going to do it. But in a republic, that actually blocks them. But the federal government's moving forward like it's a democracy. They can do whatever they want. Do you see a collision, a clash of civilizations of informed, high IQ, productive, good people that haven't succumbed to cultural, collectivism and Marxism and globalism, versus the zombie hordes? I mean, this is getting bad, is my point.
Yeah. No, I think there will be this collision, mainly because our country is bankrupt. But also, there's more and more people waking up, which I think is very good, and that's beneficial. But the one thing, though, individuals like myself who want to look on the positive side of things, we shouldn't ever get so naive as to think that we're up against an enemy that's rather a soft enemy. The worse things get, the harder they'll work and the more they'll do to cling to power, under the pretense, of course, of always helping people.
Yeah, because they hate us.
They've been powerful because they've always been to get the moral high ground. We're doing good. We go over these countries. We want to get rid of bad dictators. Yes, we have deficits, but we take care of poor people. All of that. But now they're running out of money, and they can't do it, and they make these false promises. So the only thing left for them, since their promises aren't believed anymore, is they're going to use power, and that's why you see the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI invoking martial laws in a major city.
I agree.
So I think it'll get worse. I've always said it's going to get worse before it gets better, because we haven't even had the big economic crisis that I think is coming, and then you wonder how complacent the American people will be. So the more people we can alert to being prepared for this so they can handle some of the emergencies to get by, the better off we'll be. So we want everybody to be protected, as many as possible, so they don't have to depend on the government. But when the government's broke, they have very little to promise except our might to try to, restore order.
Absolutely. And so it's a sign of their weakness that they're trying to flex their muscles and use any excuse to take over and plant the flag of authoritarianism on our once great republic, because they understand and they're scared and they know they've mismanaged things. Now, shifting gears into a subject that so many callers, when they heard you were coming on the last few days, wanted me to ask you, just as a layman here and working with a gold and silver company like Midas Resources, they're having trouble getting the gold. It's being bought so quick. Places are sold out everywhere. The mint can't even make enough. But they're using paper money to drive down the price while elites are buying it as fast as they can. What do you make of what's happening with the war on gold?
Well, I think there is, and governments always have a war on gold because they want their paper to last as long as possible. They did that. How much gold do you think we dumped in the 50s and the 60s at $35 an ounce trying to prove that point? Markets, though, eventually win out. So I think that they very well could be involved in all this dumping of gold. That one day when it the gold prices went down so much. There were 53,000 contracts sold by one individual. I just wonder how close Treasury Department was to that. But the market number that best tells you about this disconnect is the premium on the coin. So you and I might hear, oh, yeah, gold prices are crashing, and, well, maybe we ought to buy some more. So we go out. Evidently, there was more than just a couple of us doing that. Quite a few went out, so the premium goes up, which is natural. That's the way the market works. The price is not supposed to be going up because the price is so-called fixed by these traders in the paper market, but the premium is part of the price, and the price was, I don't know what the premium has done in the last day or two, but I know when the price of gold was going down rapidly, the premiums went up,
sure.
Which meant there was
but
a
that's
high
like
demand
Nixon
for the
price
physical
fixing.
possession.
Sure, but isn't it like Nixonian price fixing? I mean, sure, you can fix the price, but then you can't find, the things that they fix the price on. What I'm saying is I'm getting reports everywhere that people, the shops, they can't get the gold, that there's a major shortage at this lower price. So doesn't that right there prove that the market is saying gold is really worth a lot more? And as you said, they can't suppress it forever. Shifting gears, what about Bitcoin? I've been leery day one because if this wasn't something globalists were involved in, they would have destroyed it. Now, they're not all powerful, but I just have a bad feeling.
Well, I don't know exactly what's going on there. I have deep reservations about it because my understanding of money is a little bit different than something that comes out of a computer, and I don't understand how it's calculated. I don't think anybody else does. But if we have a truly free society and people are doing this and they're not committing fraud, and it actually it becomes a means of exchange, and people can transfer and measure things in a Bitcoin, I'm not going to object to that. But I don't think that is the answer. I think money has to be something that has been established in the marketplace, and there's been a pretty good test on gold and silver, like thousands of years. So I'm very reluctant to get involved in even the Bitcoin. It's going to be when you make a sale or a purchase in Bitcoin, you have to, do the mathematical change and figure, how many dollars am I getting for this? But I hope it's a method where they're challenging, because that's been one of my positions, is that if we would just have a legal competition with the Federal Reserve in place, this would be helpful. But I'm thinking more along the lines of somebody who's out there using gold and silver as legal tender, as advocated under the Constitution. But you know what happens to people who do that? You can go to prison for that, and you're called a counterfeiter. But the Federal Reserve should be the ones that be held responsible for counterfeiting.
All right, I want to get into homeschooling and then let you get out of here. But last question before we get to that, I want to bring up Boston again, because the government locked down the city and then couldn't find the guy. And then as soon as they lifted the lockdown, which is totally illegal, then a citizen smoking a cigarette out back his house saw the guy was in the boat. I mean, this not only did it not protect us, it's totally unconstitutional, but it's just all a giant fraud. What would you do? Down there where you live in South Texas on the coast, if they said, don't come out of your house today or we'll arrest you, or what would you do if you drove up and they had your family with hands up? I mean, this is a big deal. They need to get in trouble. Do you have any ideas, as a constitutionalist and a pretty smart guy, how we could take action against this precedent-setting garbage?
That's a tough one, because they're the ones who are using violence illegally against the people. And to resist it, of course, that's armed conflict, and it's how much of a stomach do you have for the confrontation. But what we have to do is intellectually argue against and expose those people who have these lockdowns and having martial law declared. Because 3 people were killed, which was tragic. But what about every night? I think every day there's about 48 murders every day. Sometimes on a weekend there'll be 10 in one city. They never lock down a city. So this is unprecedented, very, very dangerous, and we have to expose them every chance we get.
Sure. I mean, they've had lone gunmen out all the time. You don't lock down a whole city. If they said, hey, please stay in your homes in this block, we think he's in one of your houses, that would be, kind of a probable cause, at least, something, reasonable suspicion. But, I mean, just you're all locked in your house, and now we're going to aim guns at you. I mean, little kids in yards, they aim guns at them. I can't wait to get you on in September, because this is a revolutionary idea to get out of the government training camp. Spend a few minutes, sir, in the time we've got left here, telling us the best websites to visit, where we should go to find out about this. Hopefully you'll get your site back soon, ronpaul.com. But what are the best sites to visit, and why have you launched this homeschooling initiative?
Of course, homeschooling is something I've been very sympathetic with for many, many years, more so every year, because I think the public educational system is deteriorating. I've talked about it before, but in Congress you can't really do a whole lot. Even 20, 30 years ago, I've often thought to myself, it'd be neat to have a school when I'm out of Congress, but I always thought about brick-and-mortar school. But technology has changed, and all of a sudden, there's a much bigger opportunity to have more students at a much cheaper price, have good education, have it, where it's not very expensive. So I've had some help with this. Tom Woods and Gary North have been working with me on this, and they are great at teaching. And we're going to have math courses and science and history and English. And also, the first six grades is going to be free. You can go and get on there after September and get education in the first 6 grades for free. And then the later grades, there will be tuition charges. But the one other unique thing that we've come up with on this, where it's different, there are a lot of homeschooling programs, and they're not, a lot of them are very decent, all but ours will be somewhat unique. But there's going to be a lot of interplay between students and self-teaching, and also it means that the cost will go down, because we're not going to have people buying books. They can if they want, but we want to keep the cost down. So if we have a course on the Constitution, it's going to be done by reading the Constitution and the Federalist Papers, and then having a teacher giving a lecture, and then the students writing. So it would be a little bit different approach. We think we can give everybody a better education at a much better price than anything that's out there right now.
And, again, what are the best sites other than Campaign for Liberty for people to visit now to find everything Ron Paul?
In particular, it's ronpaulcurriculum.com, and there's a preliminary course you can sign up for $25 to help you get into preparing for high school. But the curriculum really gets started in September. But there is a web page now, and it gives you some information, and it will keep you up to date on. There's a question and answer section on there where people call in.
Sure, my wife did it. We printed it off. It's excellent. Well, let me just say this, then I'll let you get out of here because you've got to go. When I first talked to you before you went live on air, we were talking about, promoting it and how important it is, and you were talking about how it's free for people through the first 6 grades, and then almost apologizing for selling it. Listen, we have gotten the Liberty Movement to fund each other and to vote with our dollars, and we'll take the economy back, as you know, through markets. It's time. The media attacks us, the establishment that lives off our tax money and corporate welfare, that you sell a book or I sell a film. Ladies and gentlemen, you either spend your money with websites like drudgereport.com, clicking on the sponsors, Ron Paul's sites, my sites, you spread the word about us, or we're done. Okay, this is war bonds. Ron Paul, he lives in a modest house, can sail off into the sunset. He's at 76 years old or whatever it is, fighting every day because he has a passion for liberty against the authoritarians. And this is a revolutionary act, taking our kids back from these scum. So, sir, I'm going to get behind your curriculum, and I salute you. When it comes out in September, everybody should buy it and give it to their family members if they won't buy it. Everybody should support this 110%, Congressman.
Wonderful. It's good being with you today.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's bottom line. Bottom line. I'm ready to die for freedom, okay? I'm in the globalist face saying, I want you going down 110%. I'll tell you why I liked Oblivion so much, because that's what it's all about, that archetype of giving your life up for liberty. And I don't want to die. But you know what? I love liberty so much, I'm not afraid of them, even though I know how horrible they are. I know the things they could do. Every time I look at my children and know they could come after them, and they've threatened my family, I just look at them and I commit. And you know, I'm a slob on air half the time. I'm burnt out, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot unplug. I dream about this stuff. I can't play outside with my kids or go fishing. All I'm thinking about is news and the New World Order. And then I do so much research, I get on air and can't even talk about it all because I just know too much. I mean, it's like the Gnarls Barkley song. I want to come back out of break with that, with our guests, because it's you know, I'm not crazy because I didn't know enough. It's because I knew too much. And I just was talking to Ron Paul during the break, and he's like, and yeah, you know, we're selling it because, you know, we have to pay for it and everything. And I was like, man, don't apologize that you're selling it. I mean, the globalists have taken over and control the issuance of currency and credit. Okay, we're doing this because we love liberty and want to be free. And then they create this idea, like he said, that they have the moral authority. They can sell stuff. They can make us give them our money to then use against us, and that's moral. And then Alex Jones, you know, whenever I had the Austin police chief in, he's like, oh, Alex Jones is selling stuff. Alex Jones has got a 50 caliber rifle. Yeah. And I'll sell my house and the little bit of real estate I've got and all my guns if I ever have to keep Infowars.com going. I will live in a rat-infested trailer before I ever stop spending my money on fighting the New World Order. But yeah, I like nice things. I like being comfortable. But that's not my God. You see, my God is liberty and is life and is freedom. That's why I take the money you give us by buying the great products we promote and hire more reporters and get better equipment and building studios. I have a dream to bring these people down. I'm a builder. I want to build things. I want to construct things. I want to build an architecture of freedom. I want to lead the way out of this with you right beside me and in front of me and behind me. I have a dream of liberty. I have a dream of freedom. I have a dream of my children not being slaves. And I am sick of the globalists having the moral high ground while they use our tax money against us that we're not supposed to sell stuff. I skip this network commercial. You know how much money that costs the network? I can't, nothing they can do because I just won't be on the network if they try to stop me. And it's bad that I do it. I don't even plug products here on air like I should. Buy everything at Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com. Buy the water filters, buy the seeds, buy the T-shirts, buy the videos. It's all about warfare against evil, warfare against death. We're about life, period. We're about life, period. That's what we stand for. I have a dream. Life, enlightenment, liberty, freedom. That's what I want. Justice.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com. These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. We've got the Life Straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Skousen. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand crank shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out SimpliSafe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but SimpliSafe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimpliSafe.com.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough.
I knew too much.
I just knew too much.
Does that make me crazy that I predicted everything that would happen with the bombing in the first 5 minutes after it was announced? Does that make me crazy? Crank this back up for a minute. Does that make me crazy? Possibly. Man, I feel sorry for people that don't know how the world works. I want the whole universe to open up to everybody. It's all right there. You can read the philosophy, the history books, and you're going to be reading what men and women read and what men and women thought hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. And you're going to read thoughts you've had independently yourself and have that kinship through time with people who discovered beauty, loved penmanship, honor, all the things that are good. You're not going to find that through this New World Order culture because it cannot give you anything good, because if you get something good, you're going to grow and develop like a healthy tree that will bear fruit of a free society. They don't want that. They want to be in charge and do bad things, and to do that, they've got to dumb you down. But what is going to stop them is courage. And Sibel Edmonds was an FBI high security clearance translator, and because she can speak Arabic and several other languages, and she was listening before, during, and after 9/11, and she went to Congress and told them what she knew, and they gagged her. She pretty much broke the gag order. Incredible courage. You've seen the persecution of whistleblowers the last few years who even exposed crime, and they basically threatened her and things, but she hasn't been thrown in jail. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a lot of courage to go up against these people. Most men I know will not do it. They won't even admit this is going on, but Sibel Edmonds did that. We'll give you her website. I'm on the road. I'm pulling up a story she really wants us to look at, so we'll let her break that here. We've got Riding Shotgun, Jakari Jackson and David Knight. They'll be hosting the whole next hour, and they're going to have Syrian Girl on, breaking down the fact they're trying to frame them for chemical weapons. But I have to say to Sibel, because I heard her on TV a few days ago, or saw her on TV, we linked to it from RT, with Abby Martin, excellent piece, going over the fact that this could be a false flag. Could be. I mean, knowing what she knows, I'm not going to recap it all, but we know this. The FBI, CIA was on these guys for 5 years. It's now confirmed, mainstream news in Europe, in Russia, that he was in a CIA-sponsored Zbigniew Brzezinski program to undermine the Caucasus, where they're putting Al-Qaeda in. This is a total setup. And this is a message to all the patsies out there. People that think you're part of national security stuff, you're playing the part of a terrorist to infiltrate groups, you're going to be set up a lot of times. And the little brother was just tagging along. He was partying the night before. He had no idea. They've cut his throat out. He climbed out of the boat, and they tried to kill him. He's been told, you're dead if you don't play ball. Same thing happened with McVeigh. They do the same thing over and over again. That's how I'm able to tell you what's going to happen. I had Richard Belzer on when it was announced, and I said, there'll be a drill. The people will be handled. They'll set up patsies that openly work for intelligence groups. People are like, how did you know this, Jones? People are so freaked out right now. They're saying, you know, that Jones must be a government agent or something. Well, if I am a government agent, we need more like me. No, I'm not. I'm a liberty lover who studied what they do. It's so pathological. Now, Sibel Edmonds has been a total insider and a real government agent that went public, and she has a news website that we're going to put on screen for TV viewers and let her plug here on air. But Sibel, I want you to take the floor here. Then my reporters have a few questions for you at the next segment, and talk about your case briefly to recap it. And then what did you think the minute you saw the Boston bombing? Because I know, being a false flag expert, someone who's covered it for 15, 16 years, actually longer than that, but I've really been on it since Oklahoma City, so I guess 18 years. This is like flashbacks for me. It's very painful. I wish this wasn't an inside job, because that's a lot less scary than, you know, to have a few lone nuts out there than to know that the system is this corrupt. And then why would they do it? Sibel, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Alex. Good to be with you again. And as far as my case is concerned, I'm not going to get into the civil liberties and the details of my case, but I want to emphasize the fact that since my case broke in 2002 with all the state secrets, privilege, and gag orders, I have been emphasizing the gist, the reason for the state secrets, privilege, and also the gag orders being our operation, and this is us, the United States government's operations in Central Asia and Caucasus. Some direct operations, also through proxy nations such as NATO member Turkey in this region, and that includes all the stands, you know, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, but also in the Caucasus, Chechnya, Dagestan. And so this has been pretty much a consistent theme for the past 10 years with my case. And every time I have given an interview or talk about it, people go like, oh, Stan, Central Asia, Caucasus, even people...
No, you always bring that up because that's what you were listening to. And this is part of the public program in that Red Crescent to destabilize that. This is a public program. What is incredible is that it's all public, but the public's so ignorant, it's like we're speaking Martian.
Oh, well, a lot of it, Alex, you say it's public info, but the mainstream media has really never, ever, ever covered this. And a lot of the pseudo alternatives that you know about, I know about, our listeners know about, they never touch these regions. But now, lo and behold, with this incident in Boston, suddenly it put this region, the Caucasus, Chechnya, and Dagestan on the map. You know, these people went from freedom fighter rebels overnight with Boston incidents into the hottest terrorist cell, hottest Al-Qaeda terror cell, hottest Islamic radical cell, parroting each other, getting their script from the State Department, from the CIA, especially the New York Times and LA Times, Washington Post, but also to a certain degree, a lot of these quasi-alternative media. And I know a lot of people, they got bogged down with all these ever-changing, ever-conflicted, contradictory semantics and details.
But the bottom line is these guys were working for Western intelligence. The Russians blew their cover. For people that don't know, you've been saying publicly for 10 years since you broke the gag order, with a lot of courage, as I said earlier, that it was a crime network from Central Asia right through the stands, right into the Caucasus, right into Albania, right into Southern Europe, Eastern Europe, right into... So explain the big picture, because you were on the inside listening to all this. Explain to people what's happening here on the Brzezinski grand chessboard, and then how that fits into these brothers.
Sure. So as I was saying, while people were bogged down with all these ever-changing information, which is in a way is a matter of distraction. People, you know, making a lot of, you know, putting out a lot of hypotheses and talking about some details on the ground, we came out as Boiling Frogs Post and we talked about the bigger picture. And that's exactly what the U.S. government, that's what exactly the mainstream media don't want people to look at, to step back and look at the big picture. Number one, the fact that they were from this region, you know, with connections to Chechnya, Dagestan. These are not even nations. These are regions within Russian territory and Russia. And the other thing I talked about, of course, the interview you referred to was a good interview with Abby Martin, but was very short, so I really couldn't get into it. And that's why we have a much longer interview from 5 days before that on our website when I get to explain. For example, one of the things that kept coming out of the parents for the suspects were that, this thing dated back to 3 to 5 years ago. And while FBI was talking about 2 years, Russians notifying the FBI at the end of 2011. The other inconsistency that is very important, and I'm going to link it to this great game in a second, had to do with the style that the parents were talking about, the style of the communication relationship of these government officials with the suspect. Right away, I said, first of all, that seems to be the recruitment style, especially if it's dated 3 to 5 years ago. And considering these guys, especially the older brothers, linguistic skills, he speaks Russian, Chechen, the Turkic language, and English. He still
for people that don't know, they come to they come to people when they're like 16, 17, 18, this is 5 years ago, and say, you are powerful. You're a leader. The CIA needs you to infiltrate these groups. So you get these party animals, suddenly you're going to mosques saying, I want to blow everyone up. They think they're finding radical Muslims, but really they're creating the ledger and the history to be set up.
Well, I would be careful to characterize it as infiltrating, because when you're talking about these groups, Alex, and this goes to my case and this goes to what I've been referring to for the past 11 years, well, these groups are our groups. We, the United States, created these groups, okay?
Oh, no. I totally agree with you. It's on record the State Department runs the Islamic terror groups, all of them in the stands. You're the expert, but I mean, that's all admitted. You're misunderstanding. I'm saying when they sent the brothers around to shoot their mouths off at mosque about how they hate America and stuff, and then they go party at the dorm at night, that is clearly them thinking they're agents infiltrating radical groups, is what I'm saying, when in truth they're creating their history, their ledger to be set up later.
No, I understand. And one of the other things I need to emphasize right here at this point is, initially, when the report came out, there were a lot of people who said, well, these guys only associated with modern, wealthy Turkish students and businessmen there. And we didn't see any signs of radicalization. They were hanging out in BMWs, going to nightclubs. And now you're referring to this thing of some of these people coming and saying, this is what they said in the mosque. That's why I haven't been really covering all these changing contradictory details, because after 8-9 days, we can get a lot of people, exactly, you're right, to come and say. And
okay, then I'm going to shut up. Listen, here's what I'm going to do. Then you've got the floor. What is the core of this and what people need to know? Go ahead.
Well, Alex, this really makes me feel special. You're giving me the floor. I'm really honored. Thank you. So what I pointed out, the fact that, okay, these people are exact profile that CIA seeks, especially in the United States. We don't have many people from Caucasus. So the older brother is a perfect operative for the CIA to recruit. That was the number one thing we put out through our website and said, nobody's talking about the CIA connection. Everybody's putting the focus on FBI. And I believe that the Russians did, in fact, contact the FBI at the end of 2011. FBI went there. They came back, and they were told by the CIA to butt out, to zip, and not to close the case. Because while I was working at the FBI with the agents on these operations, this was a recurring theme, Alex. We would have a lot of investigations. We would open up. We would, pursue suspects. And lo and behold, either the State Department, and again, I have been saying this for 11 years, or CIA would step in and would pressure the SES level people, the top tier level people in the FBI, to shut down the investigations, to close the investigations, because whatever we were looking at or whoever we were looking at happened to be our guys from the CIA and State Department side. So, and this went to a lot of 9/11 related cases where we had actively, just in my own department alone, several cases where the CIA came and said, you're going to shut these investigations and you're not going to pursue this person, or actually CIA facilitated the suspect's exit from the country, from the United States, immediately, weeks after 9/11. So that was very similar. The other thing that I kept telling people to look at is what is going to happen immediately after this terror incident, the so-called scripted terror incident. I said, watch 3 areas very carefully, and this is what you're going to be seeing. And guess what? In the past 2 days, what we put out a week ago saying this is what's going to take place, it's already in effect, it's already taking place. Number one, I said, well, the biggest obstacle for us to go and actually directly invade Syria because we have the military power. We can take them out in 2 days, okay? Go to Syria and get rid of Assad and do this and finish it. Invade a la Libya, a la Egypt. But I said the only obstacle has been Russia. Now, with this connection, suddenly we changing hats saying, well, these guys that we created for a while, we are going to declare them the terrorists, the hot Al-Qaeda cell. Look, again, we have done this throughout the history with Mujahideens that we created, Al-Qaeda, Bin Laden in Afghanistan. At some points, they were our freedom fighters. They were our guys. At some point, they were terrorists. And sometimes we do it several times. KLA, okay, in the Balkans with Albanians. We had KLAs under terrorist category with the State Department. Then during the Balkan War, we made them the freedom fighters, our allies. We lift that terrorist title. And then after we were finished, we were done, we put that title back again. We do this a lot with, and same thing with MEK, the Mujahideen Khalq. Some people refer to them as MKO. Now look at Chechens, right? Suddenly Chechens are the terrorists and all these bad guys. Do you know who's the biggest lobby for the Chechens? Several years ago, they established a Chechen lobby. Guess who established it? James Woolsey, ex-CIA director, Michael Ledeen, Frank Gaffney, Richard Pearl. When you look at the names of these lobbyists that set up this, the Committee for Peace in Chechnya, okay, the American Committee for Peace in Chechnya, a lobby group for Chechens, you're looking at all the infamous CIA, DIA, Pentagon, and the neocons, okay? Later, after it got a little bit scandalous, they changed the Chechnya in the title into Caucasus, the American Committee for Peace in Caucasus, right? This is not even a nation we are talking about, Chechnya. And now we have this big group, lobby group with all the CIA and neocon guys for Chechnya and Chechens. People have to ask this. So this is what, what happens. Now, I pointed out that there is a possibility that we made a backdoor deal with the Russians, okay? Look, step aside and let us go and invade Syria directly, okay? For a while, we'll declare the Chechen and these guys in Dagestan as the most radical Al-Qaeda terrorists. Overnight, okay? We'll set it up. We'll script it for you. And we'll give you the free hand because Russia has been pretty much wary of really tackling some of these cells within its own regions. Because if you look at the map, you see that the region is very close, right on the border of Georgia. Now, recall that conflict in 2008, the 5-day war between Georgia and Russia. So it's a very volatile region. Plus, Russia, people are like, well, Russia doesn't need permission from the United States, but you have to look at the geopolitics and you also
needs the political cover. They need the political cover.
Look, Russia doesn't want that kind of a bad rep when the EU, the United States says, look, Russia is repressing these minorities, they are committing genocide. So they have been kind of wary, even though their intelligence have all the stuff, information on these cells.
Sure, we're about to go to break. Let me just throw this question at you, and then we can come back and you can have the floor continually and finish up these important points you're making. Why would then the Georgian government, along with the Russians, release their military the documents that he's at the CIA Jamestown-funded, Woolsey-controlled, Zbigniew Brzezinski-controlled meetings? Why would Georgia, I know it's moving a little bit away from the West now, but why would Georgia do that? I mean, they're obviously upset about this. So what does it signify?
Because we produced this video report and an hour in-depth interview on this. And during this interview, I pounded the issue and I said, I'm really asking for some factions within the Russian government intelligence and Georgia to put out information because their intelligence for years, for more than 2 decades, have been collecting all our operations.
Wow, you did do that, absolutely. So stay there.
Operates there.
All right, great. Stay there. Shebel, we got to go to break. It's a hard break. We're going to come back and recap what you were just saying. Wow, this is amazing. Stay with us.
Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, author of the best-selling book, Cancer, Step Outside the Box. I want you to know some very important information. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan requested that Carnivora be sent directly to the White House at a time when only the president could obtain this world-class healer. Now, 27 years later, Carnivora capsules are used around the world to keep people healthy. Now you can protect yourself and your loved ones in this age of superbugs with 17 naturally occurring compounds that instinctively respond to abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell. If you want to stay healthy, now's your chance to literally wake up your critical immune cells to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY or order from carnivora.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. That's 1-866-836-8735, 1-866-VENUS-FLY, or visit carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
Time and time again.
You need to come here and help us. We need assistance, please.
Those we should be able to depend on let us down.
Federal and state and local officials saying help is on the way. Well, the folks here in Bell Harbor say, show me.
Don't depend on the government to save you. Take action now so that you're prepared for the next disaster with MyPatriotSupply.com. Get the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Call 866-229-0927.
We are hurting down here, and we need help immediately.
Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Amino acids have to be delivered to your body in the shape that nature gave them if they are to be used to create new proteins in your body. Just like a bricklayer cannot use bent or twisted bricks to build a brick wall, so too your body cannot use bent or twisted amino acids to build new proteins. Giving your body an undamaged amino acid food can make a huge difference in your health. One World Whey is an undamaged amino acid food unlike any other. You see, heating bends and twists amino acids, and all whey protein powders we've investigated and most proteins you consume are heated. With our True Cool process, you now have a choice with One World Whey.
My name is Daniel. I'm 34 years old. When I started using One World Whey, I weighed 228 pounds. Now, after 2.5 months, I weigh 182 pounds. This is my ideal weight. I've noticed an increase in stamina, rate of recovery from workouts, and an increase in my potency.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldwhey.com.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel.
All right, I'm going to punch out here in about 5 minutes because I'm on the road. I'll be live Sunday, and I'll be live next Monday as well for part of the show. And you're going to have Gerald Celente co-hosting with the guys. But in this 5-minute segment, Cybelle Edmonds is here, and then she'll do 5 minutes of the next hour with the other host. She can continue with what she's breaking down. And then Jakari Jackson and David Knight will continue to host into the third hour. But again, kind of an overall news transmission here. You're listening to the Alex Jones Show, and I'm Alex Jones. All right, Cybelle, you got cut off by the break there. You were getting to a central point that a week or so ago, and I've seen the video up on your Boiling Frogs website, be sure and give that full URL out, that you did call for these other intelligence agencies to go public. I was just shocked that Georgia, and it probably was you because you're well-respected worldwide, that Georgia would actually go, yeah, here's the right thing. These guys were CIA. But it's got to grind on people in intelligence agencies who aren't pure evil, like you when you're working at the FBI, to just watch the bin Laden working for the CIA. You're sitting there listening to it, and they're running drugs, you name it, weapons. So this is about a 5-minute segment left. Continue making the central point you were getting to.
Right. So the back deal would be, okay, now with this incident, suddenly we have Chechens and these factions within the region, Caucasus, going from freedom fighters to hot terrorists, Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists, and in return for Russia to have free hand to go and do a major house cleanup, which it hasn't been doing for a while. I'm talking about a massive operations and go into the region. Even though these people are our people that we planted, we do this all the time.
That's how diplomacy works. We'll take our missiles out if you take your missiles out, or we'll let you kill our spies if you let us kill your spies.
Right, Alex. And instead of the international communities vilifying Russia, they will be clapping and saying, look, Boston thing happened. We already declared them. We already portrayed mainstream media running the scripts from the State Department as terrorists. So the international community is going to be supporting, especially the United States and EU, Russia's coming crackdown, right? So, and I said, and as part of that, we are going to go and invade Syria. Guess what? We put this information, this analysis out. That interview, I encourage people to go and watch that video report at Boiling Frogs Post. It's 45 minutes, and this we put out about a week ago.
Wow.
And it basically aces in every single point. So
and then now they're saying Syria has chemical weapons.
We have Syria WMD a la Al-Qaeda, a la Iraq, okay? Bam, it came out yesterday, all right? 2, you look at the breaking news. Russia rounded up 140 people of Caucasus radical Islamic terrorists. That's breaking news currently, right now, as we speak, first page of Russia Today's channel. So everything that we predicted is basically taking place. Now you compare that to the mainstream media and the alternatives that have gotten bogged down in the semantics and some details, some ridiculous stuff, as it happened with 9/11, they basically lose the entire picture. Instead of looking at the big picture, they are looking at little fragments. And I understand as far as investigative approach goes, people can get clues and put together, but the clues they are giving you, the mainstream media and government, they are not clues. This is smokescreen, as you just talked about, contradictory, conflicting, a lot of them false, ever-changing, evolving, devolving. Rather than doing that, we have been presenting the bigger picture, and the Boston terror incident basically facilitated what we are seeing right now and what we're going to be.
Seabell, we got to go to break. We're going to come back and do a little bit more time with you, and I'd like to invite you on the Nightly News. I'd like to have my crew either today or Monday, show those clips, because you did absolutely call it. You were absolutely right. There's no doubt the globalists run Al-Qaeda. This is a staged event, period.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother. Mainstream media. Government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, I'm going to punch out of here, and Seabell will be here till about 15 after. She's doing like an hour with us on Monday during the InfoWars Nightly News. I think it's David Knight doing it. We're going to show the Brzezinski documents, where they laid all this out, this plan in 1979, where they've made public statements since then. That's why she's so frustrated. I can hear it in her voice. It's all laid out. It's all admitted. The globalists run Al-Qaeda. They created it. They're giving them Libya and Syria. They'll say Iran is Al-Qaeda, even though it's Shiites. They just have, oh, Muslims are bad. Let's blow up Syria. Oh, 9/11. Let's blow up Iraq. That's how dumb they think you are. And so she'll be with us this little segment about 5 minutes into the next. But next Monday, I want to have the crew get clips from the video she talked about at her Boiling Frogs post, where a week before all this came out, she laid it out. Because she was an insider for years, listening to this in the caucuses, into the stands. And she knows. I mean, it's all run by the CIA. It's all run by the globalists. So, Sibel, finish up. You've got the floor. Then the guys will take you out to break and interview you in the next segment. And then they've got Syrian Girl on to expose it from another perspective. But this is just really incredible.
Well,
so, Sibel, go ahead and finish up. Yeah.
Yes. So as I was saying, with this now we are going to see a big-time international applaud for Russia starting this crackdown operations with the factions in Chechnya and in Dagestan region. And again, we need to also watch Georgia very, very closely with this, because about a week before, 10 days before Boston terrorist event, Russia sent the United States a very strong, also simultaneously cryptic message saying, we really don't like what you have been doing with Georgia. And that is, Georgia is in line to become a NATO member. And we had this joint military exercise with Georgia right there on the border. And again, if you go to the map and you look at Georgia's borders, what you're going to see is you're going to see Dagestan and Chechnya, exactly the region that suddenly became the hot region after the incident. So that's extremely important too. As far as Iran goes, I haven't put that analysis out. It's going to come out on Monday. I believe as part of this back deal with Russia, we are going to put this whole Iran situation on hold. We're going to hear a lot more of these talks with the United Nations, and nothing is going to happen on Iran, at least I would say for a year or longer. However, in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see the finished job with Syria, and you're going to see further internal domestic crackdown from Russia towards the factions in Dagestan and Chechnya. And one other thing I want to talk about, I haven't talked about it before, but for the past several years, what I have been getting, both from my sources in Turkey, but also some intelligence sources here, has been the fact that Ayman Zawahiri, has also been in this region. He is not in Pakistan. He hasn't been residing in Pakistan. And here's one prediction I'm going to make, hypothesis. I'm not calling it a theory at this point. The hypothesis I'm going to put forward here is we will be hearing about Zawahiri and pursuit of Zawahiri in the region, which again, as they laid the ground with the Boston incident, they made it the hot terror cell, and we're going to be hearing U.S. pursuing Zawahiri in the region. And I'm saying it today on April 26th here on your show, during your show, Alex.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Edmonds. I'm Jakari Jackson and David Knight filling in for Alex while he's on the road. We'll have you back just in 1 second on the next side. But first, David Knight, real quick, what do you have?
Well, I really appreciate you filling this in, Sibel, because, we were talking about some details at the beginning of this. And sometimes we look at the really close, tiny details like colors of backpacks and the feasibility of the government story. And that, when we do that, we kind of try to get people to look at this and examine the official story. But what you've done is you've given us a larger context. We were looking at the official story, whether there's bombing drills, that sort of thing. You bring it out to the larger picture. And that's
okay,
really
we'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
Now that we have moved into the winter season, there is an increased need to support our immunity and health. At Silver Lungs, we are committed to meeting your needs by providing a full selection of silver-based products. Our most popular silver-based products are the 32-ounce Nano Silver Solutions, our 2-ounce Nano Silver nasal applicators, as well as our all-natural silver soaps. Just released is our 100% natural silver gel. Our new silver gel is not based on synthetic gelling agents, which quickly evaporate and leave the silver at the surface. But rather, we have formulated our silver gel using the natural skin-nourishing chemistry of aloe vera to quickly penetrate and nourish the skin, while delivering the silver more effectively. Visit www.silverlungs.com and click on our store page to find what silver-based products are best for you. That's www.silverlungs.com.
With health threats on the rise such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off and like us on Facebook.
We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
All right, and welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Jakari Jackson and David Knight filling in for Alex. I said, Alex, have a good vacation. Alex Jones doesn't take vacations. He just has days when he's not in the office. Our guest is Cybelle Edmonds. And Ms. Edmonds, we definitely want you to get to your other points. But first, can you clarify some of your statements earlier? You know, not everybody carries this third segment. So if you had 4 minutes, just give us your quick rundown, and then we can get to the other points that you have on this topic.
Well, again, I don't want to undermine the work, the great work you have done and other people have done in terms of pointing out to all the inconsistencies as they relate to the incident itself. You know, how there was a suspect carrying a gun, was he armed, the backpack, as you pointed out, extremely important. It's just all of us together taking those inconsistencies, okay, putting together with the bigger picture, and then following the events as they unfold after the incident. Very, very, very similar to 9/11. And to do that, you know, with a logical, cool-headed way. And of course, as with all terror events, you have for the government, for the powers, really positive externalities. And what have been the positive externalities here with the incident? And number one, the government and the powers successfully had a test run for their martial law climate, and they took Boston and they implemented it in a pretty large scale, I would say, considering we were talking about just one teenager, 19-year-old, on the run. He has never had paramilitary or military training, and now we are hearing that he was not really armed, and we stormed houses, we shut down stores. So unfortunately, this was a very successful drill. This was the real drill for the government and for the powers, for the police state, and very unfortunate because of the reaction we saw not only during the event, but also afterwards from people in Boston. I am really troubled by the fact that the test result shows that our nation is ready to be graduated in the graduation level of police state. I don't think you can get really any further than that.
Absolutely. You know, I think this is David Knight. How you doing, Cybelle? I think that I think it's real important to look at, like you said, the details to see if this is a contrived narrative. But as you just pointed out, they have a domestic agenda that they're after. That is a military martial law type of police state. We saw that very clearly, and we called that from the very beginning. You're bringing in a larger international agenda, which we see also with the war in Syria, that sort of thing. And you provided us information about what you think might be possible motivations. You know, we had a lot of information leaked by the Russian government that the FBI and the CIA were not giving us. And so, you know, kind of you talked about that motivation. A lot of people didn't catch, a lot of stations don't cover the earlier hours. So could you recap that very briefly and just give us a quick recap of what you see as Russia's motivation in this in the broader context of the Syrian war coming up?
Right. Because the three main objectives here have been, number one, Russia has been consistently for the past over a year the biggest obstacle for our invasion of Syria, okay? And to remove that obstacle, and that is Russia, and you're going to see this, especially with this Syria WMD a la Iraq, Russia is going to step aside, kind of give us the green light saying, fine, I'm not going to be an obstacle, go ahead, invade Syria. For Russia, Russia has been determined to drastically crack down on the factions, and these are our people. These are United States governments. This is the CIA and NATO as part of Operation Gladio that started after the fall of the Soviet Union. That's why we call it the Operation Gladio Plan B in Central Asia and Caucasus, taking various factions, radicalize them, train them, arm them, direct them, and use them as terrorists against Russia. We are doing it to a certain degree in Chinese border of Xinjiang. Some people know this area as Uyghuristan or Turkestan. If you look at the uprisings there, the radical Islamic terror cells, again, right now we are not talking about it. Right now they are freedom fighters. Right now they are the minorities that China is repressing. But one day, maybe based on a deal with China, we will have them, put them on the map as terrorists. But currently, Absolutely. They are our guys there. And so for Russia, it's going to be applauded. This news just broke with Russia arresting over 140 radical Islamic terrorists from the region. These are the Dagestan, Chechnya-related factions within Russia. And we're going to hear more. We're going to hear U.S. Congress applauding it, U.S. intelligence agencies, U.S. media is going to applaud, and of course the majority of the Americans who are only exposed to the mainstream media and they are only getting one-sided, flat, made-up narrative from the mainstream media. Absolutely. They are going to applaud it as well. Again, another unfortunate reality on the ground.
You know, when you're talking about that, how in one area now the Islamic terrorists, future Islamic terrorists, are now called freedom fighters, just as we've seen before. And there's a famous quote from Henry Kissinger. He said, "We have no permanent allies, only permanent interests." And right now what they're interested in is going to war with Syria. We saw that talked about several years ago. And so we need to put that in the broader context. We need to see how they're using these Islamic groups as cutouts, as motivation and justification for their permanent interests. At one point, there are allies, and then there are, sworn enemies. And we see this happening over and over again. And then domestically, we also need to turn back to Henry Kissinger when it was just leaked with WikiLeaks. His comment said that the illegal we do immediately, the unconstitutional is more difficult, takes a little bit longer. That's what we see happening domestically. So we need to look at Henry Kissinger for really kind of the backstory of what's going on domestically and internationally.
You are referring to the great game. And I think this is a good point to emphasize one fallacy out there that is being emphasized by people like Shore, the ex-CIA, still CIA guy, and a lot of quasi-alternatives that pose as alternatives, real alternatives, and that is this whole notion of blowback. I really caution people against thinking that way. Let's say even if 9/11 was a blowback, which it was not, okay? I'm a big believer of that based on all the facts that we have. You would think, okay, fool the government once, U.S. government, shame on them, and fool them twice, shame on the government. You would think that would stop this terror creation through using radical Islam in Central Asia, Caucasus, Xinjiang area of China. We have been continuing this after 9/11. So this whole notion of blowback, I mean, you either have to say all these guys, including Kissinger and Brzezinski and all these neocons and CIA, they are so dumb and so naive that they keep doing the same thing, and lo and behold, it blows back right in our face and we get terror events. Or you have to change this notion of blowback, and I urge people to look at the context, to look at the history, to look at the last 35 years, look at this recent event and the analysis we have been putting, and then ask yourself, does it really look like blowback? Because this is like the second tier justification. The first tier, okay, you know, the people are saying this was a genuine event. These guys were radical guys who caused the Boston terror. Then you have the second tier imposters who are coming and they're talking about, well, it's blowback, and they're coming out already saying, you see, this is what happens when you say, you know, have some joint partnership for a while with some groups, in whether it's Chechnya, it comes back and it haunts us. Well, that is as false as the scenario one, the official narrative. It is just the support, and again, it's distraction. So I urge people to remove themselves, again, step back, look at it, and you see that, come on. You know, how many blowbacks are we going to have? I mean, nobody is learning here. This is not a blowback, as 9/11 was not a blowback.
You have to, at some point, say, are the people who want to protect us, are they Keystone cops, or are they, you know, kind of sly like a fox? I mean, you know, there's, you know, if they're so incredibly incompetent, that's one argument. But then the other thing is, as you're pointing out, and let's recap for people who are just tuning into this hour. You're saying this because you worked at the FBI, and as you told Alex, there'd be many times when you would be following somebody and the CIA would come in and basically take you off the case, take people at the FBI off the case. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, not once, not twice, not three times. We had valuable suspects right after 9/11, and with the State Department, you know, it's like CIA, aka State Department, stepping in and saying, no, we want to deport these guys, send them back. We don't want them to be interrogated. Certain active investigations by the FBI's counterterrorism and counterintelligence operations investigations being shut down, completely being shut down per pressure from State Department and the CIA. Now, officially, just for the people's benefit, they cite sensitive diplomatic relations, and as they cited in my case when they invoked the state secrets privilege, they said if this woman gets to talk, if her case goes through Congress with a hearing or goes through court, it will be detrimental for certain sensitive diplomatic relations the United States has. Of course, people right away jump the gun and they're just talking about Saudi Arabia or Turkey. And all along I've been talking about it's not that. It is that a certain FBI investigations, counterintelligence, not counterterrorism investigation, that covered the period 1996 till 2002, dealt with NATO CIA operations in Russia's Caucasus and Central Asia, recruiting, training, radicalizing, arming, turning them into terrorists, okay, to use them against Russia.
Ms. Edmonds, we have to go to break. Are you available for just a few more minutes? I know your time is busy, but can you do a few more minutes?
Let's go to 11:30 my time. We have 9 more minutes.
All right, great. All right, we'll be right back with Miss Cybele Edmonds, excuse me. I'm Jakari Jackson, David Knight for the Alex Jones Radio Show.
Bills in front of Congress right now could take away your right to keep and bear arms. If Obama has his way, all guns will be either banned, restricted, or confiscated, possibly by executive order. The best way to keep your guns is to hide them. What Obama can't find, Obama can't take away. You can protect your guns from any threat. Download our special report, How to Hide Your Guns, at GoHideYourGuns.com. Learn how to hide your guns while keeping them readily available. Get the report now before they make us take it down. On the web at GoHideYourGuns.com. Sergeant Dave Scott, Army Search and Rescue veteran, wants you to hear this urgent message. All emergencies have casualties, but in America, most casualties from storms like Katrina and Sandy only happen because good people were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Don't let that happen to you. Visit yourbugoutplan.com on the web Watch a free video presentation of the skills you need to be long gone before any disaster can touch you. You owe it to yourself and to your family to watch this. Head to yourbugoutplan.com on the web right now, yourbugoutplan.com.
Don't throw away leftovers. Instead, throw all your leftovers, vegetable peels, eggshells, coffee grounds, pizza crusts, and more into the bokashi. If you love to garden and compost but don't like the hassle of turning a compost bin or the smell, then check out the EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from TerraGanix. Finally, a way to recycle all your food and plant waste safely and effectively and stop using fertilizers. The EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System. Rather than decomposition, the Bokashi system uses fermentation to break down waste, so it takes less time to create nutrient-dense humus for crops or gardens with no turning and no obnoxious odors. To learn more and order your Bokashi online, visit TerraGanix.com and click on the orange button. That's TerraGanix.com, spelled TerraGanix.com, or call 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. Recycle all your food wastes in about 6 weeks with the Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from TerraGanix.com. TerraGanix. Life's getting better.
Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, author of the best-selling book, Cancer, Step Outside the Box. I want you to know some very important information. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan requested that Carnivora be sent directly to the White House at a time when only the president could obtain this world-class healer. Now, 27 years later, Carnivora capsules are used around the world to keep people healthy. Now you can protect yourself and your loved ones in this age of superbugs with 17 naturally occurring compounds that instinctively respond to abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell. If you want to stay healthy, now's your chance to literally wake up your critical immune cells to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY or order from carnivora.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. That's 1-866-836-8735, 1-866-VENUS-FLY, or visit carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
So, a natural disaster strikes, and out goes your power. You risk losing stored food in electric freezers and refrigerators. Your options: lose all that expensive food and medication, fire up a noisy gasoline-powered generator, or switch now to a propane or natural gas-powered refrigerator from Ben's Discount Supply. Ben'sDiscountSupply.com has a complete line of propane-powered refrigerators. Freezers in sizes ranging from a small camper cooler size up to a whopping 21 cubic foot refrigerator freezer or a 22 cubic foot deep freezer. In stock and ready to ship anywhere. Ben'sDiscountSupply.com also stocks a full line of solar-powered appliances to get you completely off the grid. Check out Ben'sDiscountSupply.com or call 800-771-7702. That's 800-771-7702. Or click Ben'sDiscountSupply.com for camping, home, or bug-out location. Bank on Ben'sDiscountSupply.com.
Federal agents, we are armed!
And welcome back to the Alex Jones radio show. Jakari Jackson, David Knight filling in. Alex is on, well, not vacation. He's just out of the studio for a few days. Our guest is Cybelle Edmonds. Now, Ms. Edmonds, I have a question for you. Earlier when you were talking to Alex, you mentioned that the CIA was very interested in the older brother, of course, referring to the Boston bombing suspects. Why was he so ideal, and what does the CIA look for when they're recruiting?
Sure. Let me give a personal example of how they recruit. And a lot of times CIA recruits under the label State Department. In 1997, while I was pursuing my degree in George Washington University, one of my professors, after class asked me to stay behind and said, look, with your languages, Turkish, Farsi, other Turkic languages such as Azerbaijani, and having multiple passports, etc., you would be an ideal candidate for the State Department, and I know they are very interested in having you work for them. And what it was that I found out, basically it was through State Department, it was the CIA. Because look, when you have the linguistic abilities, you know the religion, the target religion, which is Islam. You look the part. Well, that is the perfect CIA operatives for that part of the world, whether it's the Middle East or Central Asia and Caucasus. I mean, you get a John Doe with blue eyes and blonde and thick American accent and no language. Come on. And, these people can be easily identifiable, and people around the world, they know by now that, okay, through our embassies, we spy, through our NGOs, which is for Central Asia, Caucasus, for Russia. This is why Russia shut down all these U.S. NGOs. That's the number one CIA grounds for operations. And that is both the terror operations, but other operations as well in this region, Russia and Central Asia, through NGOs. So Russia was very smart with shutting down these NGOs because these NGOs are all a la CIA. So again, people there, they know that that's the fact, so they watch out. So what is the best way for the CIA to have people on the ground to do the work, to take care of some of the operations, yet blend in? Yet not raise that much suspicions. And you have to also look at the nationalistic aspects of people within the region too. No matter what, even if, let's say, they hate Russia, they are wary of the United States. They know that, okay, United States supporting them or asking them or training them or carrying out operations with them, it's not for the best benefit of those factions, those minority groups, those Islamic cells within the region. It is for the United States benefits. So they tend to trust people who look like themselves, they share the religion with, they share the language with. Therefore, they are very active. This is the CIA within the university campuses, and I believe that's where they recruited the older brother. That's the likely place. I'm not putting it as fact, as I'm putting it as a highly likely possibility, as it occurred in my case. And he would be the ideal CIA operative candidates there, a conduit to further certain things that would be much easier to do with your average John Doe Americans. And same thing is true with Afghanistan, with all over Middle East. We do that a lot. And number one recruitment places are the universities, the college campuses here in the United States.
Absolutely. He fits more the profile of that type of person than he does a terrorist because of his family relationships and, like you said, the multiple languages, that sort of thing, and even the lifestyle that he's living. I mean, it's as Alex had talked about it, very secular lifestyle. Now,
carrying Russian passport, that's extremely important. Carrying Russian passport is very, very, very important.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at the bio for your book here, Classified Woman, the Sibel Edmonds story. And one thing really stuck out at me here. It says, having lived under Middle East dictatorships, Edmonds knows firsthand what can happen when government is allowed to operate in secret. I think, so many times we've talked to people who have lived under foreign dictatorships, whether they're coming from Eastern Europe or some other place. And those are the people who see the hallmarks of what's happening here. And I think that's basically what gives you the guts to speak out on this, that maybe an American would look at the same situation that you saw, and an American would say, this could never happen in America. This is America. This can't happen here. You've lived under it. We've seen other people who've come here from Poland, from Germany, from other places, and they say, we've lived under it too, and we see it happening and being repeated here.
Absolutely. I mean, you aced it there because the reason this is the reality for the Americans, number one, of course, is the mainstream media. When you look at Hollywood, even when you look at the textbooks, the history books in the United States, universities, high schools, it all has this illusion of, like during the World War II with Hollywood. When American soldiers come, they hand out Hershey bars, and then the people are throwing flowers. You're liberating us, us. Love you, love you.
We're the good guys. We can do no wrong. That's right. Thank you. We're going to continue this discussion on Monday.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run.
Is he still there?
Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out SimpliSafe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes. so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but Simply Safe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimplySafe.com.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
If you want an American company with American products made by Americans, here is the Cal Ben Soap Company. Alex and his staff have used these pure soap products for years. These all-natural soaps are made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils that are earth-friendly and safe. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog. Buy the 1 to 2 month sample package and enjoy soaps that are twice as good as what you're using now. Or save big with a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. This is an amazing deal. You can save thousands of dollars and you will love the way real soap makes you feel. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog.
For 50 years, we've told them what to eat, what to drink, what to wear. For Christ's sake, Ben, don't you understand? Americans love television. They wean their kids on it. Listen, they love game shows, they love wrestling, they love sports and violence. So what do? We give them what they want. We're number one, Ben. That's all that counts. Believe me, I've been in the business 30 years.
Well, I haven't been in show business as long as you have, Killian. But I'm a quick learner. So I'm going to give the audience what I think they want.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance.
Yeah, Mr. Schwarzenegger is going to give you what you want, or what he thinks that you want. He doesn't want you to go out and buy violent video games, but you can go see his latest blockbuster where he shoots somebody's head off, and that's perfectly fine. Anyway, if you're looking on prisonplanet.tv or infowars.com/listen, you can see the FBI special agents page, and this was something we were alluding to in the first hour. And I just want to show people, you can see right there, FBI.gov, and we'll scroll down here to number 17. And this is just a point I was trying to prove earlier. I want to be an FBI profiler. First, you need to realize the FBI does not have a job called profiler. So the next time you see that on your big box network, just keep that in mind. There is no such position. And also, real quick, guys, if you can stay right there.
Or the next time CNN rolls it out as their expert witness.
Yeah, this is your expert FBI profiler. And this is something that Alex was alluding to as well. Obama promises abortion not going anywhere. That's an article on Infowars.com, so you can go there and see it for yourself. Now, David, you had some comments about the Ron Paul interview?
Yeah.
Oh, and also, we have Syrian Girl in just a few minutes. Go ahead, David.
That's right. You know, one of the things I appreciate about Ron Paul is he always focuses on the bedrock issues. You know, he focused on the Fed because it's such a central issue, our money and the soundness of our currency, and it has tentacles into so many other things. Mm-hmm. Education is that way as well. Education is a bedrock issue. Education is the future of our children. If you can grab them, and every tyrant has said this going all the way back to Plato, if you can get the kids at an early age, they own them for life. Don't let them have your kids. Don't let the government schools take your kids. Take them back from people. Why is education a bedrock issue? Just look at this lockdown in Boston and the reaction of a lot of people to that. Children are being conditioned in schools for lockdowns. It didn't happen when I was in school.
It happened when I went to school. Our lockdown protocol was we're going to line up against the wall right where the killer would walk by and just spray the wall, and he's going to shoot all of us.
That's right. But if you go back and you look at the writings of the people who set up our government educational system, people like Mann and Dewey, they were very clear about what their purpose was. They were very clear about the schools. And just as we look at some of these things and say, wow, look at this, Homeland Security is not working and the FBI is not working and they got all these people at the finish line, but this still happened anyway. Wow, these guys are incompetent. We need to give them more power. We need to lose more freedoms. And then you look at it and you say, maybe that wasn't the design at all. Maybe they weren't really trying to stop this. And you got to look at the same thing in schools. People say, Johnny can't read. What's the problem with this? Well, this government schools, that was never their first priority. That was the way they were sold to the parents. The parents wanted that, but that is not their priority. Their priority is to make the citizens passive. It is to make them dependent on the government. It is to make them see the government as God.
Oh, yeah.
And, my wife has a master's degree in education. I took care of the religion and the politics stuff for my sons because I didn't want to be a slave of sin or a slave of government. And that's what we're looking at here. The difference is the government looks at education as a way of filling a bucket. You are a passive bucket, and they're going to stick information in you. We look at education as lighting a fire. We're trying to give our sons, our daughters, the tools to educate themselves, the interest to pursue something, and the freedom to pursue it, which you don't have in school. So if you've got kids in school, even if you can't work out how to if you're a single parent or something, you're having a difficult time working out how you're going to do homeschooling, because it is very difficult even with a two-parent home, still look at this curriculum, because this is something that you can put in
the Ron Paul curriculum.
The Ron Paul curriculum is going to be coming out in September. This is something where you can fight back against the indoctrination that they're getting in school.
And it's a lot of indoctrination, just like Alex talks about often. Your kids go off to school, and how many guns do your parents own? Are they on any type of medication? I mean, how often do you go on vacation and all these other little things? Just be a snitch, do what the state tells you. Like you said, the state is God.
See something, say something.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't come out and made the kids believe that, yes, yet we are God. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that sometime soon, though. But anyway, guys, let me know when we have Syrian Girl up, and we'll go to her. Okay, so we have her right now. Syrian Girl, popular YouTube channel. I believe it's the Syrian Girl Partisan channel. She joins us now to talk about all things Syria. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on. Okay, now I want to start with this article right here. And once again, Jakari Jackson, David Knight filling in for Alex Jones while he is on the road. U.S. intelligence points to small-scale use of sarin in Syria. And I want to get your comment on this, Syrian Girl. Numerous questions remain about the origins of the chemical and what effect its apparent use could have on the ongoing Syria civil war. When asked whether the intelligence community's conclusion pushed the situation across Barack Obama's red line that could trigger more U.S. involvement in the war, Hagel, that is Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, said it was too soon to tell. But then we have this other article from Politico. Some lawmakers told last week about Syria and sarin, and it has John McCain, everybody's favorite John McCain, saying that we need to have intervention in Syria and also need to arm the rebels. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, this banter about chemical weapons has been going on for over a year now. The U.S. Saying that it's got a red line on their use and accusations flying about their use. A high-level source, actually, within the opposition, told me that he was approached by the U.S. State Department with a cash offer in exchange for claiming a hoax chemical weapons story. This was months and months ago. And he added that recently he saw the victims of bodies of supposed chemical weapons attacks in Syria, and that he believed that those fighters died due to accidental discharge of makeshift chemical weapons that the FSA have themselves created. And, there's been actually examples of the FSA, which is the rebels or insurgents, which is a more accurate term for them, have been using makeshift chemical weapons in Aleppo. And Channel 4, Alex Thompson covered this, and many civilians were hospitalized as a result. But it wasn't sarin because the symptoms didn't have the telltale signs of that. there was also videos that came out, and I think InfoWars covered this as well, of rabbits being killed by the FSA who were mixing chemical weapons. So there's some evidence that the FSA themselves are manufacturing their own chemical weapons and using them. The reason that this guy in the opposition didn't go along with this U.S. State Department request is he wasn't convinced of their intentions to really intervene in Syria, because they have never said that what they would do if their red line is crossed. And so this is still the case, so I would urge this person to come forward himself. But I think that the U.S. agenda, potentially they have plans to intervene, but perhaps they just want to set a precedent for real chemical weapon use. And the end agenda being to just further create more destruction. Because if you let the rabbit out of the hat, then that's it. Then it increases the likelihood of chemical weapons really being used.
Syrian girl, were you able to hear? I think we got an echo going back on the line there, but were you able to hear the interview that we had with Sibel Edmonds earlier?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to.
Well, we spoke to her, and she had a very interesting take on both the Boston bombing and what's going on in Syria, kind of tying them together. And in her opinion, she said that she thought that this information that's coming out of Russian intelligence services linking these suspects in the bombing to foreign CIA involvement and that sort of thing, she believes that Russia has been the main obstacle to our involvement there in terms of nations. She believes that kind of a backdoor deal has been struck between American intelligence services and Russian intelligence services to essentially demonize Chechnya and give Russia a free hand to work there, while giving us a chance to move into Syria because Russia is no longer opposing us. What do you think about that?
I don't think that Russia is going to make a deal that sells Syria out. Not at this point. I think that there's definitely something going on with Chechnya being labeled as the culprit behind the Boston bombings. I mean, the reason that Russia is supporting Syria at the moment is because there's some very radical Chechens coming across the border into Syria, and they just started their own platoon. So to radicalize the Caucasus and the Middle East threatens Russian sovereignty. And when I say radicalize, I mean create like an Islamic extremist ideology and foster it like they did with Al-Qaeda. This is a threat to Russia, and this is what's happening in Syria. So, of course, Russia is going to oppose. That's one of the reasons Russia is opposing U.S. presence in Syria. Now, as for a backward deal, it's possible.
The reason she said that was because now what you're saying is that the Russia is concerned about Chechen influence in Syria is one of the reasons that they're standing against involvement there. What she was saying, and she had predicted this a week ago, was that Russia would make a major move, that they were being held back because of public opinion against them coming down too hard on Chechen rebels. And here we are in the intervening week as more and more details have come out, and as we've heard, this constant drone in the news media about Chechen Islamicists, that now Russia has been emboldened, as Sibel had predicted, and just in the last day or so has arrested 140 people associated with Chechnya in Moscow. So that was kind of tied into what she was saying, explaining the reasons why the Russians would be releasing all this information about CIA involvement with the brothers and them being used as Chechen rebels.
I think with the Boston bombing, with the brothers, from the evidence I've seen, I have doubts that these guys were Islamic extremists at all. Mm-hmm. Just by the way that they dressed or the way that their Twitter feed was. It's really doubtful.
And that's very important, Syrian girl. Can you elaborate on that? Why you have doubts?
Well, if you look at the dress of the Al-Qaeda style of terrorism, this might be superficial, but they usually have a beard and no mustache. And that's because they follow a very specific sect of Islam called Salafism or Wahhabism. And this is the case, you know, if it's not just a beard and no mustache, then at least a beard. And neither of the two brothers had that. And it just seems bizarre because it doesn't fit the bill of what, you know.
Exactly. Alex has pointed out that they had a very Western appearance and Western attitudes, that sort of thing. And but of course, here in America, it's very difficult for us to talk about those kind of nuances and get the American public to understand it. They don't understand the difference between Sunni and Shiite, for example. So it's, you know, when you talk about Wahhabi Islam, they don't understand that distinction either. So for the official government narrative, it works very well for them to just point out these guys were Islamicists. You know, that's it, period.
Just because of where they come from, I suppose. But
yeah.
For Russia making a backdoor deal with the U.S. regarding Chechnya, I don't see Russia selling Syria out. Just the position that they've taken up to this point is very hard to back down from. It won't, if anything, if they sold, you know, anything out, it wouldn't be full-blown intervention. I still have my doubts that it would come to that. So perhaps this is more to do with political pressure. You know, this claim is coming also at a time where the Syrian military has been making sweeping advances in both Damascus and Aleppo, and it could just be a sign of desperation. You know, and in the first place, the claims are coming out of Israel, and that's not exactly a neutral party when it comes to Syria. Syria and Israel have been enemies since Israel's inception. So, and Israel stands to gain the most out of a rebel or insurgent victory in Syria, as it would drive a wedge between Syria and Iran. And Netanyahu said so himself. So it's no surprise that Israel is the one trying to push for intervention by the U.S. in Syria.
Well, it certainly bears close inspection. And as we've seen before, and we've pointed out, just as we see with what we believe are domestic false flag operations, you know, we see a drill going on at the same time, at the same place of a terrorist activity with exactly the same MO and that sort of thing. We see the government doing certain things over and over again. And one of the things that we see them do when they want to have a war is to bring up kind of bogus charges of weapons of mass destruction. We've seen this done, you know, for Iraq. We've seen it done a year ago. As you mentioned, this is a narrative that is being hyped up yet again in the last day or so, and we've already kind of covered this ground quite a bit once before, even in Syria.
Absolutely, you know, and the ironic thing is after the United Nations went through and found no chemical weapon evidence in Iraq, the U.S. attacked anyway, and then proceeded to use chemical weapons in white phosphorus over Fallujah in Iraq. So really, this whole thing is not about chemical weapons. It's not about humanitarianism. It's about finding a way in.
Tell us a little bit about the charges last year and how that boiled down. Can you kind of recap that for our audience?
The charges last year of chemical weapons use.
Yes. Yeah, the charges, the allegations of chemical weapons use last year.
There has been so many allegations. At the beginning, there was just some threats issued by the U.S., you know, in case you use chemical weapons. And there was one, I'm not sure if it was last year, it was a few months ago, where there was a few hundred injured civilians in Aleppo that had inhaled some kind of gas, and some of them had suffocated to death. But the gas itself wasn't sarin, which is the most likely weapon that Syria would possess. Sarin is a nerve agent, and it's a lot more potent. And even people working with the wounded would be overcome by its effects, and that's not the symptoms. So I suppose none of the accusations have been able to stick. And I think this is another one of those. I mean, what evidence do they have? Chuck Hagel said that, at the beginning he was saying there isn't enough evidence.
Okay, hold on to that thought, Syrian Girl. We have to go out to break, and we'll come right back with that thought on Chuck Hagel. I'm Jakari Jackson. David Knight filling in for Alex Jones, who's out on the road. So stay tuned. We'll be back with Syrian Girl right after this.
Hey there, my name is Frank Bates. Do you know the #1 most valuable item in a crisis? Some people think the answer is gold. Others think it's a gun. But the correct answer will shock you. I just created a free video at crisis123.com that reveals a surprising item that is more valuable than gold in a crisis. 97% of Americans don't have this one critical item. In fact, they haven't even given it a thought. And the sad truth is that you may not survive without it when a real crisis hits and a starving mob is right outside your door. What I have to tell you could literally make the difference between life and death for you and your family. Watch my video at crisis123.com to discover the #1 most valuable item in a crisis. You'll be shocked. See the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in the last 3 months. Go watch my video now at crisis123.com before they force me to shut it down. Again, that's crisis123.com.
Friends, this is Alex Jones for MidasResources.com. For more than 15 years, I have exclusively used Midas Resources for all my precious metal needs. Whether it's bullion or collectibles you're looking for, Midas Resources is simply the best. I own my gold as a hedge against inflation. This Federal Reserve fiat currency could go the way of the Deutschmark and the Weimar Republic anytime. In these historically dangerous times, it makes sense to physically hold gold and silver. Midas already has some of the best deals in the industry. But if you give them a call and mention the radio special, they will give you a list of the day's super specials. Midas brokers are standing by to answer all your questions at 800-686-2237. They also have a lot of informative free literature explaining the opportunities and risk of holding precious metals. They are ready to answer your questions at 800-686-2237. Again, that's 800-686-2237.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at GoBerkey.com. That's GoBerkey.com today.
All right, and welcome back to the Alex Jones Radio Show. Jakari Jackson and David Knight filling in. Now, we have an article on Infowars.com. U.S. unveils Iraq WMD curveball style lies versus Syria. So we have Syrian Girl still on the line. And also, Syrian Girl, I wanted to ask you, we saw an article a couple of weeks ago about a young child carrying an AK-47 in Syria. I'm sure you saw that video as well.
The 10-year-old boy, 8 years old.
Yes.
He was smoking a cigarette and carrying an AK. Actually, there's been so many examples of children being used as soldiers in this war. You'd think that the crew of Invisible Children who made Kony 2012, that propaganda, to have some comment about it. But
and yeah, and I was talking a lot about that a couple of weeks ago on the Infowars Nightly News, and I was like, where are all the Kony people who are so concerned about concerned about a guy who many of the people in Uganda say has been dead for 6+ years, or at least been missing. But, we see this child with playing with explosives and AK-47s, and nobody cares about that.
It's actually, I've seen examples in the mainstream media where they kind of made it heroic or, understandable that the rebels were using child soldiers in Syria. It's repulsive. But I did want to make a few last points about the chemical weapons that we were speaking about before. One thing is that, again, the claims are coming out of Israel in the first place, but Syria isn't signatory to the Chemical Weapons Convention. So the media, when it's claimed that Syria is breaking international law, it's completely false. And another country that isn't signatory to the Chemical Weapons Convention is Israel. So it's ironic that this information comes out from them. But Chuck Hagel, at first he was saying that he was in disbelief about it, but then he said the direct quote was, the decision to reach this conclusion was made in the past 24 hours. So it's kind of like saying he decided to make a conclusion. So the conclusion wasn't made based on evidence, but political expediency. Mm-hmm. So finally, I did want to say that if the Syrian military were to use chemical weapons, then why would they use it on a small scale as is claimed here?
Right.
Wouldn't that defeat the purpose of chemical weapons, which is to cause mass destruction? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be simpler just to shoot the insurgents rather than use these small-scale chemical weapons? So it's really a bizarre claim, and there's no evidence yet whatsoever. And even if they're coming up with evidence, it could just as easily be the FSA who have been using it, for which we have evidence of. And, again, it's just more excuse to create war, just as it was in Iraq.
Absolutely. Exactly. When we see these kind of claims come up, we all ought to be skeptical. We all ought to demand a burden of proof that is much higher than we've seen in the past. You always hear those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. That's usually said about a generational ignorance. That's about something that's happened a long time ago. This is something that we saw happen just 10 years ago. And in this article that Jakari referenced that's on Infowars.com, Curveball, let me just fill this in for people who are listening on the radio, that's the alias of the Iraqi defector who basically fabricated claims about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. And the British Independent has an article here that says, the man whose weapons of mass destruction's lies led to 100,000 deaths confesses all. A defector is going to tell how U.S. officials sexed up his fictions. We don't want to see that happen.
We'll cover that in just one second, but real fast, Syrian Girl, how can people get in touch with you?
Please, if you could find my channel on YouTube, it's Syrian Girl Partisan. And I also have a Facebook, Partisan Girl, and a Twitter account, Partisan Girl.
All right, thank you so much, Syrian Girl. We'll be right back with 5 Minutes Overdrive. Myself, David Knight, and Syrian Girl, you're welcome if you want to come as well.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
With health threats on the rise, such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver, and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off, and like us on Facebook.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, actually, Alex is out on vacation, or taking some time off, I should say. Jakari Jackson, David Knight, and also Syrian Girl sitting in for the next 5 minutes of Overdrive. And we just want to run through some news articles. And Syrian Girl, you are welcome to give your take as well. But David Knight, go ahead and finish up what you have.
Also in that article that we referenced on Infowars.com, and just think about this, what just recently happened with Libya. As a report, about 3,300 bombshells that were designed to carry mustard and sarin gas chemicals were destroyed years ago by Muammar Gaddafi when he was trying to make peace with the West. But instead, we went in and we overthrew him, right? And what remains now, though, there are still 10 metric tons of mustard gas and sarin gas stockpiled in barrels located in the Libyan desert south of Tripoli. And they're worried now that those weapons are going to show up in the hands of Al-Qaeda. So here you have someone who destroyed weapons of mass destruction, but we overturned him anyway. And then, even though we're that supposedly our greatest concern is weapons of mass destruction, and yet somebody who was cooperating with us on it, we went to war against him. And then we left those in place to be used by Al-Qaeda, who are our allies in overthrowing the guy who was destroying his weapons of mass destruction. This is the insanity of our foreign policy that's being run by corporations to profit from this. The military
people just can't. I don't know why people can't understand that we're funding these people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Syrian Girl, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they've been funding them since the 80s. You know, Al-Qaeda is the biggest tool in the Middle East for the U.S., and it's become blatantly obvious. I did want to make a comment about the first article where the one Iraqi spy led to the 100,000 deaths. It's funny because there was a BBC article about that said the Iraqi who fooled the world. But you know what? The world wasn't fooled. The US government wasn't fooled. The UK government wasn't fooled. They knew very well there wasn't any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
That's
the
right.
UN told them so. So to put all the blame of the war on this one guy and his supposed false claims,
oh, absolutely,
it's just ridiculous.
I think, though, the point is that here is a guy who is a key source, and he's coming out and saying that it was a lie, just as we've seen Colin Powell admit that it was a lie, and people underneath him. Now, you say it is blatantly obvious, and it is to everybody, that Al-Qaeda is being run by the American CIA, and yet we had Rachel Maddow criticizing Alex Jones on the radio, on her television show a couple of days ago. One straw man, absurd argument after the other, and one of them was he thinks that Barack Obama is the global head of Al-Qaeda.
Isn't he? Isn't that what that movie, that Tom Hanks movie, Charlie Wilson's War? Isn't that about how we made Al-Qaeda and Tom Hanks is running around? What do you guys need to shoot down these helicopters?
Exactly. He took over the position as global head of Al-Qaeda from George Bush, his predecessor. And but she is so buried in partisanship that she's not going to admit that. But of course, it's also an effort to ridicule and try to take down Alex Jones, to put the straw man argument up that, oh yeah, he's running Al-Qaeda. Yeah, it's blatantly obvious.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I want to close with Syrian Girl. We have about a minute or so left. Now, Syrian Girl, we get criticized a lot for the information that we provide. Are you criticized as well, or what type of opposition do you come up against?
Oh, I'm called many things. I'm called a Russian agent. I'm called not really Syrian. Being paid by the Assad government. Lots of things to try to, blacken my name and my message. If I did have a bit of airtime left, I would just like to say, the manufacturing of claims of chemical weapons is still going, and that source that gave me information from inside the opposition did say that the U.S. State Department approached him with false information about chemical weapons to try to make him the one to come out with it. So it's still happening. It's like regurgitation of the old tricks. And, even in
all right, that's all the time we have, Syrian Girl. Sorry to cut you off, but you're definitely welcome back on anytime. InfoWars Nightly News tonight. I believe it's Darren McBreen. So stay tuned tonight.
Start life over. Spend more quality time with your family. Take more vacations. Own your own business. Be healthy and earn the kind of income you've always dreamed of. Is it possible? Yes, with Youngevity. To learn more, go to InfoWarsTeam.com. That's InfoWarsTeam.com. Then pre-register for the Spring Youngevity Convention, May 2nd through 4th in Las Vegas, Nevada. And guess who will be there?
Hi, I'm Dr. Joel Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy, and I prescribe the health.
The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural